What do you do when the man you married, the man who promised to protect you and your child, suddenly turns into the very thing you fear most? On my first night back home with our newborn daughter, Corbin, my husband of 3 years, revealed the monster lurking behind his charm. His outbursts, his accusations, his rage, it all led to one terrible moment. And that's when I realized I had to fight for us or lose everything. Stay tuned to hear how I took back control of my life, my daughter, and my future, no longer a victim, but a survivor. And don't forget to subscribe for more empowering stories of strength and resilience. I never imagined I'd be standing between my 2-month-old daughter and her father, trying to protect her from the very person who was supposed to love and cherish us both. The sound of Corbin's heavy footsteps pacing our living room still echoes in my mind like thunder before a storm. I'm Alara, and this was the day my husband of 3 years revealed the monster inside. "Look at me when I'm talking to you!" Corbin's voice boomed through our suburban home, making the pictures on the walls tremble. I held Rin close, her tiny fingers gripping my hospital scrubs. She was so small, so unaware of how everything was about to change. "How long have you been lying to me?" he yelled, shoving his phone in my face. On the screen was a simple text from Jasper. "She's beautiful, Ilara. Rin has your eyes." My heart pounded as I tried to keep my composure. "He's your best friend, Corbin. He's just being nice about our daughter," I explained, but I could see the storm cloud growing in Corbin's eyes. "Since I got pregnant, my best friend?" He laughed, but there was nothing warm in it. "The same friend who always finds a reason to visit the pediatric ward when you're on shift?" His face was turning red, veins bulging from his neck. "Rin doesn't even look like me! Stop it!" I begged, stepping back. "You're being ridiculous! You were there when she was born! You cut the cord, Corbin!" Rin shifted in my arms, sensing the rising tension. And then it happened. Corbin snapped. His hand shot out and shoved me. Time seemed to slow as I stumbled backward. My body twisted instinctively, shielding Rin as my hip collided with the corner of our coffee table. Pain exploded through my side and we fell. Rin's frightened cry echoed through the room, a sound that pierced my heart as I hit the floor. "My baby!" I screamed, checking her over in panic. She was still safe in my arms, protected by my body, but already I felt bruises blooming across my hip. Corbin stood over us, momentarily frozen by the weight of what he had just done. "Ilara," he stammered, his voice trembling. "I didn't mean—" "Don't!" I cut him off, tears streaming down my face. "Don't you dare say you didn't mean it! You shoved me while I was holding our baby!" My voice cracked with fury and fear. What kind of father does that? I struggled to stand, pain shooting through my hip. Rin's cries softened to whimpers, her tiny face pressed against my chest, the same chest she'd fed from just an hour ago, when everything was normal, when I still believed in the man I married. Corbin reached for us, and I recoiled, my body instinctively pulling away. "Don't touch us," I warned, my voice low and dangerous. A mother's protective instinct is a powerful thing. It can transform fear into strength in an instant. "Ilara, please," he begged, his anger morphing into panic. "You know I love Rin. I need to know she's mine." His words hung in the air, thick with poison. I looked at him, really looked at him, at the man who'd once brought me flowers on late-night shifts, who'd cried tears of joy when Rin was born, who had promised to protect us. Now he stood before me, a stranger, hands still clenched into fists. "You want proof?" I spat, my body trembling with adrenaline. "Fine, we'll get a DNA test, but understand this. Corbin, the moment you pushed me and Rin, you lost us both. No test result will change that." As I limped toward the stairs, clutching Rin close, I heard Corbin sink onto the couch, his breathing ragged. My mind was already racing, planning our escape. One thing was crystal clear. This house wasn't safe anymore, not for me, and certainly not for my daughter. 3 years earlier, life was different. I loved my job in the pediatric ward at Memorial Hospital, where every day brought new challenges and tiny smiles. Children have this way of making even the hardest days worthwhile. My scrubs were often decorated with cartoon bandages from playful patients, and I wore them like badges of honor. That's where I first met Corbin. He was the new hospital administrator, all pressed suits and confident smiles. I remember the day clearly. I was checking on Tommy, a 7-year-old recovering from appendix surgery, when Corbin walked in during his department tour. "Nurse Evans," he'd said, reading my badge. "I've heard great things about your work with the kids." His smile reached his eyes back then, warm and genuine. Tommy gave him a thumbs up from his bed, and we all laughed. After that, Corbin found reasons to visit the pediatric ward regularly. He'd bring coffee during my night shifts, claiming he was just checking on department morale. Our conversations grew longer, and I found myself looking forward to his visits. He seemed to care about everything I said and remembered every detail about my patient stories. "You have such a big heart, Ilara," he'd told me during our first date at a small Italian restaurant. "The way you talk about those kids, it's beautiful." I fell for his attentiveness, his apparent kindness, his ambition. Our whirlwind romance felt like a fairy tale. Within 6 months, Corbin proposed in the hospital garden, where we first had lunch together. My colleagues were thrilled, especially Jasper, Corbin's best friend from college, who worked in hospital security. Jasper had become like a brother to me, always ready with a joke or a supportive word after tough shifts. The changes were subtle at first. Corbin suggested I switch to day shifts because he missed me at night. "I just want to spend more time with my beautiful wife," he'd say, kissing my forehead. It seemed sweet then, not controlling. Then came the questions about my male coworkers. "Who's Dr. Anderson? He seems very friendly with you." Or, "I noticed Jasper hanging around your ward again today." His tone was casual, but his eyes would darken slightly. I brushed it off as a normal concern. After all, Corbin had lost his mother young, and his father had remarried quickly. "Sometimes I get scared of losing people I love," he'd confided once, holding me close. I thought I could heal that hurt with enough love. The pregnancy test changed everything. 2 pink lines that made my heart soar and my hands tremble. I planned to surprise Corbin with the news and bought a tiny pair of baby shoes to put on his desk, but Jasper saw me hiding them in my locker. "Congratulations, Ilara," he whispered, pulling me into a quick hug. "Corbin is going to be thrilled." His genuine excitement for us made me smile, and for a brief moment, everything felt perfect. When I shared the news with Corbin that evening, his reaction was everything I had dreamed of. He spun me around in our kitchen, tears welling in his eyes. "A baby," he repeated over and over. "Our baby." For a moment, he was the man I had fallen in love with, and I felt a warmth spread through me. But as my belly grew, so did his insecurities. He installed a tracking app on my phone for safety, started showing up at the hospital unannounced to bring me lunch, and interrogated me endlessly about my conversations with Jasper or any male colleagues. "You're being too friendly," he'd say after hospital events. "People might get the wrong idea about a pregnant woman acting that way." His words felt like tiny cuts, but I told myself it was just his anxiety about becoming a father. I didn't see it then how he was isolating me, controlling me, chipping away at my confidence, and how his love had turned into possession. I was too focused on our growing baby, on building the perfect nursery, and on maintaining peace. Looking back now, the signs were as clear as an emergency room light. But love has a way of blinding you, making you accept the unacceptable until the day comes when you can't ignore it anymore. The day when the man you loved shoves you while you're holding your baby, and the illusion shatters like broken glass on a hospital floor. Those memories thunder through my mind as I stand in our bedroom, Rin still whimpering softly against my chest. The bruises on my hip are nothing compared to the pain of realizing I've been living a lie. And now I must find the strength to escape it. Not just for me, but for the tiny heart beating against mine. The first serious red flag came during my 7th month of pregnancy. I was working a shorter shift, adjusting to my growing belly, when Jasper stopped by the nurse's station with a care package from the security team. He placed the box down, filled with healthy snacks and a "World's Best Nurse" mug. Just then, Corbin walked in. His smile was tight, and I could see the unease in his eyes as he watched Jasper give me a friendly pat on the shoulder before heading back to his post. That night, the interrogation began. Why was Jasper touching you? Corbin paced the kitchen, his dinner untouched. And why didn't you tell me about the gift? I sighed, one hand resting on my swollen belly. It wasn't just from Jasper. It was from the whole security team. Don't lie to me! His fist slammed down on the counter, making me jump. I saw how he looked at you. He's always looking at you. Rin kicked inside me, responding to my sudden stress. I took a deep breath, trying to stay calm for her sake. Corbin, Jasper is your best friend. He was the best man at our wedding. Why are you acting like this? His expression softened suddenly, and he knelt beside me, his hand resting on my belly. I'm sorry, baby. I see how men look at you. You're so beautiful, and I get scared. He placed his hand over mine on my belly. Especially now, with our little one coming. I couldn't bear to lose you both. I wish I had seen it then, the manipulation, how he used fear and love to keep me off balance, how each accusation was followed by tenderness, making me doubt my own judgment. The next day, he drove me to work, and the next, and the next. It's safer, he said. You shouldn't be driving in your condition. My car keys disappeared somewhere in our house, but I never found them. My phone started acting up. Notifications mysteriously turned off. I missed messages from friends until they stopped messaging altogether. Corbin had an explanation for everything. The phone company was having issues, and my friends were probably just busy with their own lives. The nursery became his new obsession. He spent hours in there arranging and rearranging furniture. Everything has to be perfect, he'd say. But now I wonder if he was checking for signs of Jasper's visits, searching for evidence of betrayal that existed only in his mind. One evening, I found him scrolling through my work schedule, comparing it with Jasper's security shifts. Red marks covered the papers where our hours overlapped. When I confronted him, he exploded. 14 shifts together last month, he shouted, throwing the papers at me. Are you going to tell me that's a coincidence? We work in the same hospital, I screamed back, pregnancy hormones finally unleashing months of suppressed frustration. What do you expect? His face changed then, became eerily calm. I expect my wife to understand my concerns. He stepped closer, his voice dropping to a whisper. I expect you to care about how this looks. How what looks? I was trembling now, backing away instinctively. Like a pregnant woman doing her job. Like a pregnant woman spending too much time with another man. He grabbed my phone from the coffee table. Let's see what you two talk about, shall we? As he scrolled through my messages, I saw our future crumbling. Every innocent conversation would be twisted. Every friendly interaction turned into evidence of betrayal. And soon, very soon, our baby would be born into this atmosphere of suspicion and control. That night, as I lay awake feeling Rin move inside me, I finally admitted to myself that something was deeply wrong. But I told myself I could fix it, that once the baby came, Corbin would see how much we loved him, that his fears would fade when he held his child. I was wrong. So terribly, dangerously wrong. Rin's birth should have been the happiest day of our lives. For a few precious hours it was. Corbin cried when he first held her, his hands trembling as he counted her tiny fingers. The nurses smiled at us, the picture-perfect family. If only they could see the storm brewing behind his tears. It started the next morning. Corbin scrutinized Rin's features like he was studying evidence. Her eyes are so dark, he muttered. My whole family has blue eyes. I reminded him that my father has brown eyes, but he just stared at Rin with growing suspicion. The first week home was a blur of sleepless nights and endless feeding sessions. Corbin took time off work, but instead of helping, he watched. He watched how I held Rin, how I fed her, how I changed her. His eyes followed every movement like a security camera. You're doing that wrong, became his favorite phrase, whether it was how I burped Rin or how I swaddled her. Nothing was ever right. I started doubting my every move, my hands shaking as I cared for my baby. Then came the photos. Corbin obsessively compared Rin's baby pictures with his own. Look at this, he'd say, pointing at old albums. I had a dimple here. Rin doesn't. Each difference became another piece of his imaginary puzzle. The breaking point came when Jasper sent that innocent congratulations text. I was nursing Rin in the nursery when Corbin stormed in, face red with rage. Why is he texting you at 2 a.m.? It's not 2 a.m., it's 2 p.m. because I posted Rin's monthly photo on social media, I whispered, trying not to disturb our half-asleep daughter. Everyone's commenting, Corbin, not just Jasper. He grabbed my phone, scrolling frantically. Everyone, let's see. Jasper liked every single photo, every single one. He commented on how she has your smile, your eyes, your nose. Rin was startled at his voice, beginning to cry. I tried to shield her, to keep her calm, but Corbin wasn't finished. 3 years, Alara. 3 years I trusted you both. Was she even conceived at home, or was it during one of your night shifts? Stop it, I hissed, tears streaming down my face. You're scaring her. You're scaring me, Guy. For a moment, something flickered in his eyes. Recognition, maybe even shame. But it vanished as quickly as it came. Pack her bag, he said coldly. We're getting a DNA test tomorrow. No, I said, finding strength in my daughter's cries. We're not doing anything tomorrow. You need help, Corbin. This isn't normal. Normal? He laughed, a hollow sound that made Rin cry harder. What's not normal is how my best friend seems more interested in my wife and baby than his own life. What's not normal is how my daughter doesn't look like me at all. As I tried to stand to put Rin in her crib, Corbin blocked the doorway. You're not going anywhere until we discuss this. Move, I said, my voice steadier than I felt. You're going to wake the neighbors. Let them wake up, he shouted. Let everyone know what kind of wife you are. That's when Rin's crying reached a fever pitch, her tiny face red with distress. I had no choice but to push past him, my maternal instincts overriding my fear. As I brushed against him, I felt his body tense, his hands curling into fists. I knew then that we were running out of time. The man I once married seemed to be slipping away, replaced by a stranger I barely recognized. The man who could once look at our daughter with love now only saw her with suspicion. After Corbin fell asleep on the couch, I sat in the silence contemplating our next steps. I knew I needed to move quickly, but I hesitated. Now, standing here, nursing fresh bruises and holding my daughter close, I realized that hesitation could have cost us everything. I had just finished feeding Rin when my phone buzzed again. Another message from Jasper. Is Corbin okay? He didn't show up for our lunch meeting today. A tight knot formed in my stomach. Corbin never missed work without notice, especially not without telling someone. Before I could respond, the front door slammed open. Corbin stood in the doorway, disheveled and wild-eyed. The smell of alcohol hit me before he even spoke. Had a nice chat with Jasper's wife today, he slurred, his words heavy with suspicion. She had no idea about any lunch meeting. His hand gripped his phone tight as he stepped closer. Because there wasn't one, was there? He was planning to meet you. Corbin, you're drunk, I said, instinctively tightening my grip on Rin. Let's talk when you're sober. I am talking now, he bellowed. His voice echoed through the room, making Rin stir and let out a frightened cry. 3 years, Alara. 3 years I've watched you flirt with him, laugh with him, and now this baby. Stop it. I cut him off, my voice trembling. You're being paranoid. Jasper is married. He's your best friend. Rin is your daughter. He laughed bitterly, a sound that chilled me to my core. My daughter? Look at her. Look at her eyes, her nose. Do you think I'm stupid? He shoved his phone in my face, showing me the screen. I've been watching your hospital schedules, all those night shifts together, all those quick coffee breaks. We work in the same building. I stepped back, my heart pounding. That's all it ever was. Liar, he screamed, throwing his phone at the wall beside us. The sound of it smashing into pieces sent a shock through the room, and Rin screamed louder. You think I don't see how he looks at you? How you look at him? And then he lunged forward. His hand shot out, grabbing my hair. Rin was wailing in my arms, and I instinctively twisted my body to protect her as he shoved us with all his strength. Time seemed to slow as we crashed into the coffee table. The pain that exploded through my hip and side was sharp, but all I cared about was Rin, who was still safely cradled against me, though her cries echoed in my ears. I looked up at Corbin, and for the first time, I saw the shock on his face as the horror replaced his rage. "Ilara," he said, his voice softening. He reached for us, but I recoiled, scrambling to my feet despite the burning pain in my hip. "Stay back!" I shouted, my voice steady with a newfound resolve. "You just assaulted your wife and child. We're leaving." "No, please," he pleaded, his voice cracking as the alcohol seemed to wear off in an instant. "Ilara, I'm sorry. I need to know. I need a DNA test. Please." My mind went numb as reality set in. The man who had sworn to protect us was now the greatest threat to our safety. Every warning sign, every red flag I had ignored crashed down on me all at once. "You want a test?" I said, my voice ice cold. "Fine. But understand this. The moment you put your hands on us, you lost everything. No test result will change that. No apology will fix this." I limped toward the stairs, each step sending pain through my body. Corbin stood frozen, his face a mask of shock and regret. But I knew better now. I'd seen behind his mask, seen the monster lurking beneath the man I thought I loved. As I packed a bag with trembling hands, Rin still crying softly against my chest, I heard Corbin pacing downstairs, muttering to himself. I knew we had minutes, maybe seconds, before his regret turned back to rage. My phone was still in my pocket, thankfully unbroken. With shaking fingers, I texted my sister. "Need help. Coming now. Don't tell anyone." Then, moving as quietly as I could, I grabbed Rin's diaper bag, some clothes, and our important documents from my hidden folder. The sound of breaking glass downstairs told me Corbin was losing control again. We had to move now. I could hear Corbin destroying things downstairs, glass shattering, furniture being thrown. Each crash made me move faster. Rin had quieted to whimpers, as if she knew we needed to be silent. My hands shook as I shoved essentials into a bag. Diapers, wipes, Rin's favorite blanket, my wallet, and the emergency cash I'd been hiding in my tampon box. "Ilara!" Corbin's voice boomed from below. "Don't you dare leave this house!" My heart raced as I heard his footsteps on the stairs. With trembling fingers, I texted my sister again. "Call the police! 911 now!" I grabbed my nursing pillow. It would have to double as a shield if needed. The bedroom door burst open. Corbin stood there, his eyes wild, a broken picture frame in his hand. Our wedding photo was shattered. "Put the bag down," he growled. "Nobody's going anywhere until we sort this out." I held Rin tighter, positioning myself near the window. Thank God, I thought. I'd memorized the domestic violence hotline number from the hospital's break room posters. "Sort what out, Corbin? How about you just assault your wife and baby? How about how you've been controlling and stalking me?" "I'm protecting my family," he shouted, taking a step forward. "Family?" I laughed bitterly. "You just threw your wife and baby into a table. That's not protection. That's abuse." Distant sirens made us both freeze. Corbin's face contorted with rage. "You called the cops? After everything I've done for you?" "No," I said, my voice steadier than I felt. "But my sister did. She's been tracking this conversation since I texted her. It's over, Corbin." He lunged forward, but I was ready. I swung the nursing pillow at his face, buying precious seconds to dodge past him. I ran down the stairs as fast as I could with Rin and the bag, ignoring the stabbing pain in my hip. The front door was blocked by overturned furniture, but I remembered the garage door code. 54321. Corbin had never bothered to change it, convinced I'd never leave him. The garage door opened just as police cars pulled up, lights flashing. 2 officers rushed toward us while others entered the house. I heard Corbin shouting upstairs, but his words were drowned out by a female officer's gentle voice. "Ma'am, are you and the baby hurt?" she asked, helping us into a patrol car. "My hip," I managed, the adrenaline starting to fade. I hit the table when he pushed us. But Rin, I protected Rin. No, the next few hours passed in a blur. The hospital, photos of my bruises, Rin being checked by a pediatrician. My sister arrived with tears in her eyes, The police took my statement. Through it all, one thought kept me going. We were finally free, but as I sat in the emergency room watching Rin sleep peacefully in the hospital bassinet, I knew this was just the beginning. Corbin wouldn't let us go easily. I needed a plan, a real plan to keep us safe. I pulled out my phone and did what I should have done months ago. I called the domestic violence hotline. A gentle voice answered, "You're not alone. We're here to help." For the first time since Corbin shoved us, I let myself cry. These weren't tears of fear or pain. They were tears of relief, because finally, after all this time, I was doing what I should have done from the first red flag. I was choosing us, choosing safety, choosing freedom. The waiting room at the courthouse felt colder than any hospital I'd worked in. Rin slept against my chest in her carrier, while my sister, Briar, held my trembling hand. 3 days had passed since we'd fled our home, and now we were here to get a restraining order. "Elara Evans," the clerk called. I stood carefully, my hips still tender from the bruises. The domestic violence advocate I'd been assigned, Maria, met us at the courtroom door. "Remember," Maria whispered, "just tell the truth. The photos, the texts, the medical report, they tell the story." The judge, a woman with kind eyes and gray hair, listened as I recounted everything: the controlling behavior, the accusations, the violence. My voice broke when I described how Corbin shoved us while I was holding Rin. "Your Honor," Corbin's lawyer interrupted, "my client was merely expressing legitimate concerns about paternity." "Legitimate concerns?" The judge cut him off. "By shoving a mother holding a 2-month-old infant? Continue, Mrs. Evans." I pulled out my phone, showing the text messages where Corbin had threatened us, the missed calls, the tracking app he'd installed. Then came the photos: my bruised hip, the broken furniture, the shattered wedding picture. "And this isn't the first incident of controlling behavior?" the judge asked. "No, Your Honor." I took a deep breath. He isolated me from friends, monitored my work schedule, accused me of affairs with his best friend. I just didn't see how dangerous it was getting until he hurt us. Corbin sat across the room, dressed in his best suit, trying to appear reasonable. But I could see the tension in his clenched jaw and the way his hands gripped the table every time I spoke. The judge didn't take long to deliberate. "I'm granting a permanent restraining order," the judge announced. "Mr. Evans is to remain at least 500 feet away from Mrs. Evans and the child at all times, with no direct or indirect contact." A wave of relief washed over me, but it was fleeting. Corbin stood up, his face turning bright red with fury. "I want a DNA test," he demanded. "That's my right as a father." The judge's tone shifted to firm authority. "Mr. Evans, you'll have your test, but your violent behavior has consequences. All visits with the child, if proven to be yours, will be supervised. Is that clear?" As we left the courthouse, I saw Corbin being held back by his lawyer, his eyes locked on mine with a burning rage. The restraining order was just paper, and I knew we would need to stay vigilant. The following 2 weeks blurred together. My divorce lawyer helped me file for emergency custody, while the domestic violence shelter found me a new apartment across town. The hospital transferred me to a different unit, away from my old schedule, to protect me from further encounters with Corbin. Then came the DNA test day. I held Rin close as Corbin sat across the room with his mother, who had flown in to support him. The technician was kind and gentle, swabbing Rin's cheek, then Corbin's. "Results in 5 days," she said softly. Those 5 days felt like a lifetime. Outside the clinic, Corbin's mother tried to confront me in the parking lot, screaming about how I'd ruined her son's life. Security had to escort her away while I clutched Rin tightly, my heart racing. Finally, the results arrived. I sat in my lawyer's office with Rin in my lap, playing with her teething ring as we opened the envelope. 99.999% probability that Corbin is the father, just as you said, my lawyer confirmed, nodding. "Now, how do you want to proceed with custody?" I looked down at Rin, so innocent, so perfect. "He's dangerous," I said firmly. "I want supervised visits only, and I want it in writing that his mother is not allowed at the visits. Rin deserves peace." Our new apartment was smaller than our old house, but it felt safer. One bedroom, a tiny kitchen, and a living room with a view of a park. There was no fancy furniture, just the basics the domestic violence organization helped us get. But for the first time in months, I could breathe freely. The first thing I did was install a security system, cameras, door sensors, panic buttons, all connected to my phone. Some might call it paranoid, but they hadn't seen the look in Corbin's eyes that day. "You're doing great," Breyer said, helping me arrange Wren's crib in the corner of my bedroom. We couldn't afford a two-bedroom apartment just yet, but Wren didn't mind. She was growing so fast, smiling more each day, blissfully unaware of how our lives had been upended. My first therapy session was harder than I expected. "I'm a nurse," I told Dr. Chin, bouncing Wren on my knee. "I'm supposed to spot signs of abuse. How did I miss them in my marriage?" "Abuse doesn't start with violence," she explained gently. "It starts with love, with someone making you feel special. The control comes so gradually, you don't see it until it's too late." She was right. Each session helped me understand how Corbin had manipulated me and how his jealousy and control had masked themselves as love. Slowly, I started trusting my instincts again. The geriatric care unit became my sanctuary. My new unit was different from pediatrics, but my patients' smiles were just as rewarding. My coworkers didn't know my whole story, but they noticed how I flinched at loud noises and how I always checked behind me in the parking lot. "We've got your back," my charge nurse said one day, showing me the new security protocols they'd put in place. "No visitor passes without ID, no information is given about staff schedules, and security escorts are available 24/7. The first supervised visit with Corbin was tense. The social worker sat between us in a sterile room while Corbin held Wren. His hands were shaking. "She's gotten so big," he whispered. "Babies do that," I replied coldly. Wren started fussing after 10 minutes, reaching for me. When Corbin tried to stand up with her, the social worker stepped in. "Please stay seated, Mr. Evans." I saw the flash of anger in his eyes, the same look he'd had that terrible day. But here, surrounded by witnesses, he could only nod and hand Wren back. Months passed. Wren learned to crawl, then walk, her wobbly steps across our small living room making me cry with joy. Each milestone was a reminder that we'd made the right choice. The divorce proceedings dragged on, but I stayed firm. Full custody, supervised visits only, no contact outside the visitation center. Corbin fought it at first, but the evidence was too strong. The medical records, the police reports, the witnesses from the hospital. "You've documented everything perfectly," my lawyer said. "Many victims don't think to do that." "I'm not a victim anymore," I corrected her. "I'm a survivor." 1 year after we left, I stood in our apartment watching Wren play with her blocks. My bruises had healed, but they'd left me stronger. The frightened woman who'd clutched her nursing pillow like a shield was gone. In her place stood someone who'd learned that love shouldn't hurt, that peace isn't weakness, that safety isn't selfish. My phone buzzed with a text from my support group leader about tomorrow's meeting. On my fridge, I had the numbers for my lawyer, therapist, and the domestic violence hotline. In my bedroom, an emergency bag was packed and ready, just in case. But fear wasn't driving me anymore. It was wisdom. Today marks 2 years since we left. Wren's 3rd birthday party is small but filled with love. Just my sister, a few close friends from work, and members of my support group who have become family. She's twirling in her princess dress in our new backyard. Yes, we finally saved enough for a small house rental, a fresh start on the other side of town. The doorbell rings, and I check the security camera before opening it. Some habits stick with you. It's Jasper and his wife, Sloane, holding a wrapped present. After everything that came out in court about Corbin's accusations, Jasper kept his distance, understanding that I needed time to heal. "Hope it's okay we stopped by," Sloane says gently. Wren runs up, excited for another present to add to her pile. "Of course," I reply, and mean it. Time and therapy have helped me understand that Corbin's paranoia about Jasper wasn't about Jasper at all. It was about control. The custody arrangement has settled into a routine. Corbin sees Wren twice a month at the visitation center. He's completed anger management classes and started therapy not for me, but because the court ordered it. His mother still tries to contact me sometimes, but I've learned to block her calls. Last week at the visitation center, something changed. Corbin watched Rin coloring, her dark curls falling over her face, curls that matched his baby pictures, though he'd once used them as proof against himself. "I'm sorry," he said quietly. "I was wrong about everything." I didn't respond. His apology couldn't undo the past, but maybe it meant he was finally getting help. For Rin's sake, I hoped so. Back at our party, I watched Rin blow out her candles, surrounded by people who truly love her. My phone buzzed a text from my new boyfriend, Reese, a single dad I met at a domestic violence survivor support group. "Hope the party's going great. Remember, you're stronger than you know." I smile, but don't reply yet. I'm learning to take relationships slowly, to trust my instincts, and to spot red flags before they become emergencies. Reese understands. He's been through his own journey of healing. "Mommy, look!" Rin calls, her birthday cake-covered face beaming. As I clean her cheeks, I catch my reflection in the window. The woman looking back isn't the same one who ran with a bruised hip and a nursing pillow for protection. She's stronger, wiser, and more certain of herself. The restraining order is still in place, renewed every year, just in case. My emergency bag still sits in my closet. But they're not the center of my world anymore. Now I focus on Rin's laughter, my growing savings account, the promotion I earned at work, and the peaceful nights where we dance in our kitchen just because we can. "Make a wish, Mommy," Rin insists, offering me a piece of cake. I close my eyes, but I don't wish for anything. We already have everything we need: safety, peace, and the strength to keep moving forward. My story isn't over, but the worst chapters are behind us. When I tell my support group about the day I left, I can do it without shaking. When new members arrive with fresh bruises and scared eyes, I tell them with certainty that there is life after leaving. There is happiness after healing, and there is strength in survival. Rin tugs my hand, pulling me toward her new toys, and I go willingly because that's what freedom feels like. The ability to move without fear, to love without control, and to live without looking over your shoulder. The sun sets on our little backyard party, casting long shadows. But I'm not afraid of the dark anymore. Rin and I have found our light, and no one can dim it ever again. What do you do when the person you loved most turns into your worst nightmare? Ilara's journey began on what should have been a day of celebration, her first wedding anniversary. Instead, it became the breaking point in a toxic marriage that had been building up for years. After a violent outburst from Corbin, her husband, Ilara, knew that the life she thought she had was gone, but she also knew one thing. She would fight for her daughter, Rin, and for herself. The journey was grueling, filled with painful realizations, but Ilara found the strength to leave. With her sister's support, a protective restraining order, and the help of a compassionate therapist, Ilara rebuilt her life. Every step was a reclaiming of her identity, of the mother and woman she was meant to be. As Rin grew, so did Ilara's resilience. With each milestone, they forged a new path forward, one defined by peace, not fear. As time passed, Ilara began to heal, and with the support of a strong community, including her support group and new relationships built on trust, she found the strength to rebuild not just her life, but her spirit. At her daughter's third birthday party, surrounded by love, laughter, and safety, Ilara realized that she had finally broken free from the chains of control. She had chosen herself, chosen her daughter, and chosen freedom. Ilara's story is one of survival, resilience, and the power of reclaiming your life. To anyone out there facing their own journey of recovery, remember, you are stronger than you know. Your safety matters, your truth matters, and you have the power to rewrite your story. What's your story? Share your thoughts below, and don't forget to subscribe for more stories of strength and healing.
I stared at the custom-made Welcome Baby banner, wondering if the rose gold lettering was a mistake. June had always preferred simple designs, but Mother insisted on elevating everything these days. The party planner's invoice in my hand reminded me why I should have said no to organizing this baby shower in the first place. I'm Cora, and I've spent the last 15 years trying to prove that career success and family devotion aren't mutually exclusive. Spoiler alert, my mother still doesn't buy it. The caterer called, Kaya said, appearing beside me with her clipboard. They're running 20 minutes late. Of course they are. I checked my watch. Another work email needed attention, but it could wait. Did you confirm the flower arrangements? All set, but your mom called again. She wants to know if we can rearrange the seating chart to put June's college friends closer to the front. I closed my eyes, counting to 10. The chart we finalized 3 days ago. The one she approved? The very same. Kaya squeezed my shoulder. Want me to tell her no? I'll handle it. I pulled out my phone, dialing Mother's number. 1 ring, 2 rings. Cora, darling. Mother's voice dripped honey, never a good sign. I was just thinking about the seating. Mother, we can't change it now. The place cards are printed and the tables are set. But June specifically requested. June approved the arrangement last week. I watched the venue staff arrange crystal centerpieces that cost more than my first car. Remember, during the family dinner. Oh, you mean the dinner you left early for that conference call? There it was. The signature Aurora Norris guilt trip, right on schedule. That call secured the Thompson account, I said, keeping my voice level. It's helping pay for this shower you're trying to micromanage. Always about work with you, isn't it? She sighed dramatically. Your sister is having a baby, Cora, a baby. Would it kill you to focus on family for once? The venue manager waved frantically from across the room. Another fire to extinguish. Mother, I need to go. The seating stays as is. I hung up before she could protest. Problems? Kaya asked, already knowing the answer. Just the usual, mother being mother. I straightened my blazer. What's wrong now? The dessert table's lighting isn't ethereal enough, apparently. Kaya rolled her eyes. The manager's having a meltdown. As we walked over, my phone buzzed. June's text lit up the screen. Mom says you're being difficult about the seating. Why can't you just help make my day perfect? Perfect, like the straight A's that were never good enough. Like the promotion that meant nothing because I missed Sunday dinner. Like this $40,000 baby shower that still somehow fell short. The lights are fine, I told the manager firmly. If anything, we'll adjust the camera settings for photos. My phone buzzed again. This time, it was Herbert, the family lawyer. Cora, your mother's on my other line about the venue contract. Something about last-minute changes. I pinched the bridge of my nose. Tell her any changes now will incur extra charges. Significant ones. She says money isn't an issue. Of course not. It's not her money. I watched another delivery arrive. Hand-painted party favors from June's favorite artist. Just hold her off, please. We're hours away from the event. Will do. And Cora. Herbert paused. You're doing a wonderful job. Don't let anyone tell you differently. I ended the call, feeling a familiar ache in my chest. The same ache I felt at 12, when Mother praised June's mediocre piano recital, but missed my debate championship. The same twist when she gushed about June's art major while dismissing my business degree as cold and calculating. Hey, Kaya's voice pulled me back. You okay? Fine. I straightened the nearest place card. Just wondering why I keep trying to prove myself to people who've already made up their minds about me. Because you're Cora, she said simply. You never give up, even when you should. The caterers finally arrived, creating a welcome distraction. As I directed them to the kitchen, my phone buzzed one last time. A message from Aunt Maeve. Your mother's on the warpath. Brace yourself, dear. And remember, you're worth more than their approval. I looked around the perfectly decorated venue, at the 1,000 little details I'd orchestrated while juggling client meetings and project deadlines. In 4 hours, this room would fill with guests, and my sister would have her perfect baby shower, and I would smile and nod and pretend their words didn't cut like always, because that's what good daughters do, right? The baby shower was in full swing when my phone vibrated for the 10th time. A client crisis needed immediate attention. I slipped behind a decorative screen, trying to keep my voice down. Yes, I understand the urgency, I whispered. I can review the contract in 20 minutes. Cora, Mother's voice, cut through the party chatter. What are you doing back there? I ended the call quickly. Just checking on the gift arrangements, Mother. Always with that phone. She grabbed my arm, steering me toward the crowd. Your sister is about to open presents. Surely your precious work can wait. June sat in the ornate chair I'd specially ordered, surrounded by cooing guests. Her pregnancy glow was amplified by the professional lighting I'd arranged. Not that anyone would mention that detail. There you are. June's smile didn't reach her eyes. I was starting to think you'd disappeared. Just managing some details. I took my designated seat beside her, noting how Mother hovered nearby like a watchful hawk. Details, details. Mother sighed loudly enough for nearby guests to hear. That's all Cora thinks about these days. Numbers and contracts instead of family. A few guests shifted uncomfortably. I felt my cheeks burn, but maintained my smile. Let's focus on the presents, shall we? June opened gift after gift, each one met with appropriate oohs and ahs. I checked my phone discreetly. 3 missed calls from the client. Oh, this one's from Cora, June announced, lifting an elegantly wrapped package. My stomach nodded. I'd spent weeks hunting down the vintage silver rattle, identical to the one in our grandmother's baby photos. June tore through the paper, revealing the velvet box. Oh, it's nice. It's just like Grandma Margaret's, I explained quickly. Remember how she always told us about? Speaking of remembering, Mother interrupted. Remember when Cora missed June's college graduation because of a crucial meeting? The room went silent. June's husband Franklin shifted in his seat, looking anywhere but at me. Mother, that was years ago, I said quietly, and I flew in the next day. And now here we are, Mother continued, as if I hadn't spoken, at June's baby shower, and she can't even put her phone down for an hour. Aurora, Aunt Maeve warned from across the room. But Mother was on a roll. Do you know who arranged this entire shower? June joined in, her voice thick with hormonal tears. Our mother did, while you were too busy with your important career to help. I stared at her, stunned. June, I literally planned every— Oh sure, she sniffled. You wrote some checks, threw money at it like you do with everything. But where were you for the actual planning? The late-night calls about color schemes? The menu tastings? I was on those calls. My voice rose despite my efforts. I scheduled them around your timeline. Ladies, Franklin tried to intervene, but Mother shot him a look that could freeze hell. Your sister's having a baby, Mother announced to the room at large. A miracle, a new life. But I suppose that's not as important as whatever's on that phone of yours. My phone buzzed again. The client was now threatening to pull their account. I need to take this, I said, standing up. It's important. More important than family. June's voice cracked. More important than me. The room was dead silent now, every guest witnessing my public execution. You know what? I grabbed my purse. Yes, right now, this call is more important. Because unlike this shower, which I planned, paid for, and am apparently getting 0 credit for, this call actually matters to people who value my time and effort. Gasps rippled through the crowd. Mother's face turned purple. How dare you, she sputtered. After everything we've done for you, everything you've done for me, I laughed, a sharp, bitter sound. Please enlighten me. Was it the constant criticism, the comparison to June, the guilt trips? Cora, Kaya peered at my elbow. Maybe we should step outside. No need. I straightened my spine, channeling every ounce of boardroom confidence I possessed. I'm leaving. Enjoy the shower, June. The venue's paid through 7. Try not to let Mother convince you I ruined this too. I turned on my heel, walking steadily toward the exit, despite the trembling in my legs. Behind me, I heard Mother's theatrical sobs and June's hiccuping tears. Just before the door closed, I heard Aunt Maeve's clear voice. Well, Aurora, I hope you're satisfied. You've finally done it. I made it to my car before the tears came. But as I sat there, watching the venue staff scurry around through the windows. A strange calm settled over me. My phone buzzed again, but this time, instead of anxiety, I felt something else stirring in my chest. Resolve. I sat in my car for exactly 3 minutes before making the call. My hands had stopped shaking, replaced by an eerie steadiness I usually reserved for hostile takeovers. Herbert, it's Cora. Remember that contingency plan we discussed? The one you said you'd never use? He sounded concerned. What happened in there? They finally pushed too far. I watched another delivery van arrive at the venue. I need you to execute Plan B, all of it. Cora. He hesitated. Are you sure? This will... They think I just write checks, Herbert. Let's show them exactly what that means. After hanging up, I called the venue manager. Sarah, yes, about those payment arrangements we discussed. Of course, Ms. Norris. Everything's set up as requested. Should I? Yes. Implement all changes effective immediately. My phone lit up with a text from Kaya. Holy shit, they're still going at it. June's crying about how you abandoned her special day. Your mom's holding court like a martyred queen. I smiled, typing back, give it 20 minutes. The next call was to the catering company, followed by the bartender, the photographer, and the entertainment service. Each conversation was brief, professional, and devastating in its simplicity. Everything's in place, Herbert texted. You're really doing this? They wanted to talk about money, I replied. So let's talk about money. I started my car, catching a glimpse of Aunt Maeve hurrying out of the venue. She spotted me and rushed over. I rolled down my window. Cora, whatever you're planning, she started. How bad is it in there? She leaned against my car, sighing. Your mother's turned it into a full Greek tragedy. June's convinced you've ruined her life. Franklin looks like he wants to disappear. Perfect. I checked my watch. In about 10 minutes, they'll have something real to cry about. What did you do? Nothing they haven't asked for. I showed her my phone, scrolling through the emails. See, Mother always said I was good with numbers. Time to prove her right. Aunt Maeve's eyes widened as she read. Oh my God, Cora, this is perfectly legal. Everything's in my name. All contracts, all arrangements. I started the engine. They wanted to talk about how I just throw money around. Well, now they can handle it themselves. Where are you going? The spa. I have a massage booked. I smiled. I did pay for it, after all. As I pulled away, I glimpsed the first signs of chaos through the venue's windows. Sarah would be making her announcements now. The open bar would suddenly require payment. The photographer would pack up. The caterers would stop service. And the bills, every single itemized bill, would be distributed to the guests who'd sat there smugly watching my humiliation. My phone exploded with notifications. I connected it to the car's Bluetooth, letting the messages play through the speakers. Cora, what's happening? June's voice trembled. The venue says we need to pay. Delete. This is your mother. How dare you? Delete. Hey, it's Franklin. Look, I know things got out of hand. Delete. A new text from Kaya. OMFG. Your mom just tried to put everything on her credit card. It was declined. June's friends are leaving. This is better than Netflix. I pulled into the spa parking lot, feeling lighter than I had in years. The receptionist greeted me with a warm smile. Welcome, Ms. Norris. Your private relaxation suite is ready. Thank you. I handed her my phone. Could you keep this for me? I'm expecting some calls I'd rather not take. Of course. Would you like to see our wine list? Please. As I followed her to the suite, another text came through from Herbert. Bills are all distributed. Your mother's trying to reach the venue owner. Should I run interference? No. I typed back. Let her try. Sometimes lessons need to be learned the hard way. I changed into the plush spa robe, listening to the distant sound of waterfalls. My phone buzzed one final time before I handed it over. A message from Aunt Maeve. Your mother's face when the bar tab arrived. Worth every penny. But darling, was it worth burning the bridge? I thought about years of criticism, of diminishment, of being treated like an ATM while being told I wasn't family-oriented enough. Some bridges, I replied. Need to burn so you can finally see what's on the other side. Then I turned off my phone, ordered a glass of champagne, and prepared to enjoy every minute of my very expensive revenge. After all, I had written the check for it. The massage therapist's hands worked out 15 years of family-induced tension from my shoulders, while my phone collected angry messages in the locker room. 2 hours of blissful silence, interrupted only by the soft meditation music and occasional sound of my own satisfied sighs. More pressure, Maria, the therapist, asked. Perfect as is, I melted into the table, though I might need an extra hour. Bad day. Actually, it's turning out better than expected. When I finally emerged from the treatment room, the receptionist gave me a sympathetic look. Your phone's been active, 37 missed calls. I assume none of them were pleasant. The last one was quite loud. She handed me the phone. Something about financial terrorism? I scrolled through the messages, each one more desperate than the last. The final voicemail was from Mother, her voice shrill with panic. Cora Elizabeth Norris, you answer this phone right now. The venue is demanding payment for everything. Everything. June's friends had to pay for their own drinks. The photographer left with all the photos. The caterers packed up the food. What have you done? I deleted it with a smile and dialed Kaya. You absolute legend, she answered, laughing. I wish you could have seen it. Your mother tried to pull the "Do you know who I am?" card with the venue manager. Sarah just kept showing her the contracts with your signature. How's June? Crying, obviously. But get this, her college friends bailed when they got stuck with the bar tab. Real friendship test right there. I settled into the spa's relaxation lounge, accepting a glass of infused water. And Franklin, actually handling it better than expected. He's been making calls, trying to sort things out. I heard him tell June that maybe they'd been taking advantage of you. Interesting. I sipped my water. Any other casualties? Those designer cupcakes you ordered, the ones Mother bragged about arranging. They got packed up right as she was showing them off to her church friends. Beautiful timing. My phone buzzed with another incoming call. Herbert, hold on, Kaya. I need to take this. Cora, Herbert said without preamble. Your mother's threatening legal action. For what? I paid for everything. Exactly. You paid. And you had every right to withdraw services. She's grasping at straws. Let her grasp. I examined my freshly manicured nails. How much is the final damage? Well, between the remaining venue fees, the bar tabs, the photographer's cancellation fee, and the catering balance, roughly $28,000, which they'll have to cover themselves. Your mother's credit cards are all maxed out. He cleared his throat. June's too. Not my problem. Franklin's been reasonable. He's offered to work out a payment plan. Decline it. I stood up, gathering my things. They wanted to handle everything without my money-throwing interference. Let them. My phone buzzed again. Aunt Maeve. You've created quite the scandal, she said when I answered. Half the country club will be talking about this for months. Good, maybe they'll think twice before inviting Mother to plan their events. June's a mess, says you've ruined her baby shower memories forever. Better than letting her ruin the rest of my life. I signed my spa bill, adding a generous tip. How's Mother taking it? She's already calling everyone she knows for loans. No takers so far. Apparently, her credit history isn't as pristine as she pretends. I stepped out into the evening air, feeling refreshed and remarkably unburdened. Any regrets? Only that I didn't record it all. Aunt Maeve chuckled. Though I did get a lovely photo of your mother's face when the bar tab arrived. Worth framing, really. My phone lit up with a text from Franklin. Can we talk? Just us. I think some apologies are overdue. Interesting timing, I muttered. What will you do now? Aunt Maeve asked. I got into my car, adjusting the mirror. In it, I saw a woman who finally looked free. Now, I'm going home, ordering takeout and enjoying the silence. They wanted to talk about money. Well, now they can talk about it amongst themselves. And tomorrow? Tomorrow I'll go back to being the successful career woman they love to criticize. Only this time, they'll know exactly what that means. As I drove home, my phone kept buzzing with messages and calls. Each one represented a person who'd watched me be humiliated, but was now desperate for my help. Each one would go unanswered, because sometimes the best revenge isn't just about getting even. It's about teaching people the value of what they took for granted, and judging by the mounting bills in their hands, that lesson was just beginning. Monday morning arrived with 53 unread messages and 12 voicemails. I deleted them all and walked into my office like any other day. My assistant Sandra met me with coffee and a knowing smile. "Your mother called the office 6 times. Any other calls? The Thompson contract is signed. The merger meeting is at 2. And," she hesitated, "your sister's husband stopped by. Franklin was here. Said he wanted to talk business." Sandra handed me a folder. "I told him you were in meetings all day." My office phone lit up. "Your mother again," Sandra said. "Let it ring." Kaya burst through the door, coffee in hand. "Tell me everything. How was the spa? Did you sleep well? Have you checked social media?" One question at a time. I logged into my computer. The spa was perfect. I slept like a baby. And no, I'm avoiding social media. "Oh, you shouldn't." She pulled out her phone. "Your mom's church friends are having a meltdown in the community Facebook group. Apparently, you've destroyed the sanctity of baby showers forever. Tragic." June's posted 3 crying selfies. The last one says, "When your own sister betrays you on your special day." My phone buzzed. "Aunt Maeve, your mother's holding an emergency family meeting tonight," she said, without greeting. "She's trying to rally the troops against you. Good luck with that." I checked my calendar. Most of them owe me money too. Franklin's been asking questions about the business side of things. Has he? I pulled up my banking app. Interesting timing, considering June's credit card payment is due today. That's not all. Aunt Maeve lowered her voice. "Your mother's been calling everyone about refinancing her house." Kaya, who'd been scrolling through social media, looked up sharply. "Oh my God, you have to see this. June's college friends posted about the tacky cash bar, and your mom went nuclear in the comments." My office phone lit up again. "Your sister this time." Sandra's voice came through the intercom. "Still in meetings." Aunt Maeve sighed through the phone. "Aurora's threatening to write a letter to your board of directors about your unethical business practices." "The board that I'm on," I laughed. "The one that values my ability to manage multi-million-dollar deals?" "She's desperate." Aunt Maeve paused. "They all are." "Good." I opened my email to find several messages from Franklin. "Maybe now they'll understand what it feels like to be valued only for your financial contributions." Kaya perched on my desk. "Franklin's been commenting on your professional achievements on LinkedIn. Every single post. Trying to butter me up? More like damage control. His law firm's partners follow you." My phone buzzed with a text from Herbert. "June's trying to dispute the venue charges on her credit card. Not going well for her." "Your mother's calling again," Sandra announced. I pressed the intercom. "Sandra, hold all calls unless they're about the Thompson deal. And if Franklin comes by again, tell him my schedule's full through next month." "What about the family meeting tonight?" Aunt Maeve asked. "I have a dinner with clients." I didn't, but they didn't need to know that. Besides, I think they need to figure this one out themselves. "Aurora's saying you've turned your back on family." "No," I corrected. "I've turned my back on being their personal bank. There's a difference." Kaya showed me her phone again. June's posted another update. "When money matters more than family bonds." It has 3 crying emojis. Interesting how family bonds only matter when they need something from me. Sandra buzzed again. "Your mother's on all 3 lines now. Time to get some actual work done." I stood up, straightening my blazer. "Sandra, I'm heading to the Thompson meeting early. Forward all family calls to voicemail." "And the emergency meeting," Aunt Maeve pressed. "Tell them I'm busy throwing money at my career." I grabbed my portfolio. "That's what I'm good at, remember." As I walked to the conference room, my phone lit up with a text from Franklin. "We need to talk about June's credit score. Delete." Another from Mother. This behavior is unacceptable. We raised you better. Delete. 1 from June. The bank called about the venue payment. Please, Cora, we need help. Delete. Kaya caught up with me at the elevator. You know they'll keep trying. Let them. I stepped inside, pressing the button for the executive floor. They wanted to talk about how I prioritize work over family. Well, now they can see exactly what that work provides. And if they apologize, then they better make it good. The elevator doors closed on the chaos I'd left behind. Because this time, sorry isn't going to pay their bills. The Thompson contract waited upstairs, ready to be finalized. Another multi-million-dollar deal that my family would never appreciate. Until now, when they desperately needed the money it represented. Funny how karma works sometimes. 3 days of silence turned into a week. Well, silence from my end. My family's desperate attempts at contact grew more creative by the day. Mother even tried sending a singing telegram to my office. You have to admit that was a bold move, Kaya said over lunch. Though the singer looked pretty uncomfortable, delivering a guilt trip ballad in your lobby. Sandra recorded it. I picked at my salad. The board got a good laugh. Speaking of bold moves, she slid her phone across the table. Check your aunt's latest update. The photo showed Mother standing outside my childhood home, next to a "for sale" sign. The caption read, "Sometimes pride costs more than money." Subtle, I muttered. Franklin's been asking around about job openings at other firms. Kaya continued. Apparently, his partners aren't thrilled about the baby shower drama reaching their clients. My phone lit up, Herbert calling. Your mother's here in my office, he said, without preamble, with June. And? They want to discuss payment plans for the shower expenses. June's crying about credit score impacts. Not my problem. Cora. He lowered his voice. They're desperate. Your mother's talking about bankruptcy. Funny how money matters now. A text came through from Aunt Maeve. Aurora's selling her antique collection. The one she always said you weren't refined enough to inherit. Tell them I'm in meetings, I told Herbert. They've been here 3 hours. Then they can leave 3 hours wiser. I ended the call just as Sandra buzzed my office phone. Franklin's here again, says it's urgent. For the first time in a week, I hesitated. Send him in. Franklin looked different, tired, rumpled, less like the polished lawyer who'd watch silently during my humiliation. 2 minutes, I said before he could speak. June's a mess. He remained standing. Your mother's selling everything. Our credit is shot. I'm probably losing my partnership track. Sounds like consequences. Look, he ran a hand through his hair. I know we messed up. I should have spoken up at the shower. We all took you for granted. That's one way to put it. June's having panic attacks about the baby's nursery. We can't get approved for any new credit cards. Still not hearing a point. He pulled out his phone, showing me a photo of June, curled up on their couch, clearly distraught. She's your sister, Cora. Whatever happened? Whatever happened? I stood up. You mean when they publicly humiliated me? When they dismissed years of support? When they called me cold and calculating while happily spending my money? We were wrong. No, you were comfortable. Taking and taking while giving nothing but criticism in return. I walked to the window. How's that working out for you? The baby's due in 4 months. I'm aware. The crib I ordered arrived yesterday. I canceled the delivery. His phone buzzed. June calling. He ignored it. Your mother's house is in pre-foreclosure, he said quietly. She has options. She could sell her designer handbags, or her vacation timeshare, or maybe call all those real family people she loves to compare me to. Cora, please. Please what, Franklin? Bail them out? Write another check. Go back to being the family ATM they can criticize between withdrawals. Sandra buzzed again. Your mother and sister just arrived in the lobby. Tell security not to let them up. Franklin stepped closer. They're sorry. No, they're broke. There's a difference. Then what do you want? What will it take to fix this? I turned to face him fully. Fix what, exactly? The relationship they never valued? The support they took for granted? the success they resented. His phone buzzed again, mother this time. You should go, I said. Sounds like they need you. They need you. No, they need my money. And for the first time, they're realizing those aren't the same thing. He moved toward the door, then paused. For what it's worth, I always admired your drive, your success. June was jealous. Your mother was threatened. And now? Now they're just scared of losing more than money. After he left, I watched through my office window as he joined Mother and June in the parking lot. They huddled together, probably plotting their next attempt at reconciliation. My phone buzzed with a text from Aunt Maeve. They're breaking, dear. Question is, are you ready for what happens when they do? I didn't answer. Instead, I pulled up the Baby Boutique website, where June had registered. The silver rattle she'd dismissed sat in my cart, along with every other item on her wish list. One click would solve all their problems. I closed the browser. Some lessons cost more than money, and this one wasn't finished teaching yet. The knock on my apartment door came at 9 p.m., exactly 2 weeks after the baby shower. I knew who it was before I checked the peephole. June stood there alone, no makeup, wearing the ratty college sweatshirt she'd always refused to throw away. You look terrible, I said, opening the door. Can I come in? I stepped aside, noting how she cradled her baby bump protectively. She settled on my couch, looking small against the modern furniture she'd once called soulless. Mom doesn't know I'm here, she said quietly. Of course she does. She's probably waiting in the car. No, I mean it. June met my eyes. I took an Uber. Franklin's at a partner meeting, trying to save his job. I remained standing. What do you want, June? I found the receipts, her voice cracked. For the shower, all of them. Mom had thrown them away, but I needed to know. And $47,000. She wiped her eyes. Not counting the gifts you bought. The ones you spent months picking out. Is this the part where I'm supposed to feel appreciated? Because you finally looked at the price tag. No. She touched her stomach. This is the part where I tell you I'm scared. Really scared. We can't afford anything for the baby. My credit cards are maxed. Franklin's firm is putting him on probation. Mom's losing the house. Sounds rough. I deserve that. She pulled out her phone. But look at this. Really look. She showed me photos from the shower, before everything fell apart. The details I'd obsessed over were evident in every shot. The custom lighting that made everyone look perfect. The hand-calligraphed place cards. The precisely arranged flowers. You did all this, she whispered, while closing the Thompson deal, while handling the merger, while I complained about you not being there for tastings. Your point? My point is, she struggled to stand, her pregnant belly making it awkward. I was jealous, always have been. You made everything look so easy. Your career, your success. Even throwing the perfect baby shower seemed effortless for you. It wasn't. I know that now. She walked to my window, staring at the city lights. Mom's a mess. She's lost everything, her status, her credit, her reputation. The country club actually revoked her membership. Tragic. She deserved it. June turned back to me. We all did. We treated you like a bank while acting like you weren't good enough for the family. The same family you've been supporting for years. My phone buzzed. Aunt Maeve. June finally made the move. How's it going? Why are you here? I asked June directly. Because I'm having a baby. Her hand rested on her bump. A little girl. And I don't want her growing up thinking it's okay to treat people the way we treated you. I don't want her learning that success should be punished, or that money matters more than honesty. Pretty words. I'm not asking for money. She stepped closer. I'm asking for a chance to be a better sister, a better aunt to my daughter. I'm asking if it's too late to start over. And mother. She'll have to figure out her own way back, if there is one. I studied her face. The dark circles under her eyes, the worry lines that hadn't been there before. The silver rattle, I said suddenly. What? The shower gift you dismissed. Do you know why I chose it? She shook her head. Grandma Margaret used it to soothe us both when we were babies. Remember how she'd tell us that story about how it was the only thing that would calm you down during thunderstorms? June's eyes filled with tears. I didn't even look at it properly. I was too busy trying to hurt you. Well, it worked. I'm so sorry, Cora. She reached for my hand. For everything. For years of everything. I let her hold my hand for a moment before pulling away. Sorry doesn't fix credit scores. I know. She moved toward the door. But maybe it's a start. As she reached for the handle, I spoke. The rattle's still in my closet. She turned, hope flickering across her face. I'm not saying I forgive you, I continued. But maybe we can talk. About the baby. About starting over. Really? Don't make me regret it. She nodded, tears falling freely now. Thank you. After she left, I texted Aunt Maeve. June just left. She came alone. And maybe there's hope for one bridge not to burn completely. What about Aurora? I looked at the family photo, still sitting on my shelf, taken years ago, when success meant nothing and family meant everything. Some bridges, I typed back, need to stay ashes. The silver rattle caught the morning light as my niece's tiny fingers wrapped around it. She had mother's eyes, but thankfully none of her temperament. She hasn't cried once since you gave it to her, June said from the hospital bed. The nurses can't believe it. Grandma Margaret was right. I adjusted the baby's blanket. Magic rattle. Franklin entered with coffee, looking more relaxed than he had in months. His firm had kept him on after he'd taken full responsibility for his part in the shower incident. Humility, apparently, went a long way. Your mother's in the lobby, he said quietly. Again, June tensed. Did you tell her? Security's keeping her there. He handed me a cup. Your call, Cora. My phone buzzed. Aunt Maeve. Aurora's making quite a scene downstairs. Something about grandmother's rights. Let her make it, I replied, watching my niece drift to sleep. The past 3 months had been a study in consequences. Mother had indeed lost her house, moving into a small apartment that horrified her social circle. June and Franklin had started marriage counseling, working through the damage that financial stress and family dysfunction had caused. And I had learned to set boundaries. The trust fund set up, I told June, putting my coffee down. But the conditions stand. She nodded. No contact with mother until she completes therapy. No access to the money without financial counseling first. And we maintain separate holidays. She smiled sadly. No more forced family gatherings. The baby stirred, making those tiny noises that newborns do. Franklin took a photo, then showed me his phone. Mother pacing in the lobby, gesturing wildly at hospital staff. She'll never change, June said softly. No, I agreed. But we did. My phone lit up with messages from the family group chat I'd never left. Cousin Rachel, Aurora's posting about being banned from meeting her granddaughter. Should we tell her that's not how restraining orders work? Uncle Paul. Maybe she should have thought about that before threatening Cora at her office. Aunt Maeve. The therapy appointments are paid for. She's choosing not to go. I muted the chat and focused on the baby. She had June's nose, Franklin's chin, and hopefully none of the family's talent for emotional manipulation. I've been thinking, June said, adjusting her position. About names. Please tell me you're not still considering Aurora Jr. No. She exchanged looks with Franklin. We were thinking, Margaret, after Grandma. The rattle clinked softly as the baby moved. She'd like that, I said finally. And June hesitated. We want you to be godmother. You sure? I might be too busy with my cold, calculating career. That's why we want you. Franklin sat on the bed's edge. Someone needs to teach her that success isn't a character flaw. A commotion outside drew our attention. Mother's voice carried through the door. I demand to see my granddaughter. Security responded quickly. Through the window, we watched them escort her out, her designer knockoff bag swinging wildly as she protested. You know what's sad? June cradled little Margaret closer. She could be here right now. All she had to do was get help. Some people prefer their pride to their peace. I picked up the rattle, its silver surface reflecting our small group. But that's not our problem anymore. My phone buzzed one last time. Herbert, Aurora's threatening to contest the restraining order again. Let her, I typed back. Some battles aren't worth winning when you've already won the war. June touched my arm. Thank you, not just for the trust fund or the baby stuff, for giving me a chance to be better. Us, Franklin corrected. A chance for us to be better. Little Margaret yawned, completely unaware of the family drama swirling around her. She'd grow up knowing a different kind of love, one that didn't come with price tags or conditions. Want to hold her again? June asked. I took my niece, feeling her warm weight settle against my chest. The rattle chimed softly as I rocked her. You know, I said, Grandma Margaret used to say something about family, that it's not about whose blood and who isn't. It's about who stays when the money's gone and the masks come off. Sounds wise, Franklin said. She was. I watched Margaret's eyes flutter closed, and she'd be proud of us, not for the success or the money, but for finally learning what real family means. Outside, Mother's car peeled away from the hospital parking lot, leaving only tire marks and wounded pride behind. But inside this room, with the silver rattle catching sunlight and new beginnings taking shape, we had everything we needed. Sometimes the family you choose is better than the family you're born into. And sometimes the best revenge isn't revenge at all. It's living well, loving better, and letting go.
The day my family branded me a thief started like any other Tuesday at Miller & Sons Financial. I was reviewing quarterly reports when my father's secretary appeared at my office door, her face tight with worry. Your father wants to see you immediately. I'm Gwendolyn. And until that moment, I thought being the black sheep of the family was the worst it could get. I was wrong. The walk to my father's office felt like a march to the gallows. Through the glass walls, I could see them waiting. My father Abel behind his massive desk, my mother Esme perched on the leather sofa, and my cousin Andrew standing by the window, his arms crossed. Sit down, my father commanded as I entered. His voice carried none of its usual warmth. What's going on? I asked, but the knot in my stomach already knew. My father slid a folder across his desk. Care to explain the discrepancies in these accounts? I opened the folder, my hands trembling slightly. Numbers swam before my eyes, transaction records, bank statements, all highlighted in accusatory yellow. I don't understand. These aren't my accounts. They're linked to your department, Andrew chimed in, his voice dripping with false concern. Over $200,000, Gwen. How could you? What? I stood up so quickly my chair toppled backward. I haven't touched any money. These aren't even my signatures. Sit down, my mother snapped. Stop making this worse than it already is. Making it worse? I haven't done anything wrong. I looked from face to face, searching for any sign of doubt in their accusations. There was none. The evidence is clear, my father said, his voice heavy with disappointment. The transfers were made from your office computer using your login credentials. That's impossible. Someone must have used my computer when I wasn't there. I would never... Enough! My father's fist came down hard on the desk. We've already contacted the police. The room spun. The police? Dad, please, you have to listen to me. I've listened enough. He stood up, straightening his tie. You have 1 hour to clear out your office. Consider yourself terminated, effective immediately. My mother's eyes were wet with tears, but her voice was steel. How could you do this to us? To the family name? I didn't do anything. I was screaming now, dignity forgotten. Andrew, tell them. You know I wouldn't do this. Andrew shook his head, the perfect picture of family loyalty. I'm sorry, Gwen. The numbers don't lie. Security escorted me to my office. My sister Riley watched from her cubicle as I packed my things into a cardboard box, her face a mask of confusion and hurt. Whispers followed me through the building like poisonous smoke. That evening, my phone buzzed with a text from my mother. Don't come to Sunday dinner. Don't contact us. We need time to deal with this disgrace. I sat in my apartment surrounded by family photos I couldn't bear to look at when my best friend Sandra called. I just heard, "Are you okay?" They didn't even give me a chance to defend myself, I whispered, my voice breaking. 29 years of being their daughter, and they believed the worst of me in 5 minutes. "This isn't right," Sandra said firmly. "There has to be more to the story." I stared at the family photo on my coffee table. Last Christmas, all of us smiling, Andrew's arm around my shoulders. Something clicked in my mind. "There is," I said, my voice hardening. "And I'm going to find out what it is." Sandra was quiet for a moment. "What are you going to do?" I picked up the photo and turned it face down. "They want to believe I'm capable of stealing? Fine, but I'm going to prove who really did this, even if it tears this family apart. Be careful, Gwen. Revenge isn't always— This isn't about revenge." I cut her off, but even I didn't believe that. "This is about justice. And trust me, when I'm done, they'll all know exactly what it feels like to have their world turned upside down." I hung up and opened my laptop. The cursor blinked on the search bar like a challenge. My fingers hovered over the keys for a moment before typing. How to hire a private investigator. The family that cast me out had no idea what they'd just set in motion. They thought they knew me, the troublemaker, the disappointment, the black sheep. But they were about to learn what I was really capable of. And this time, I wasn't going to play by their rules. Sandra's tiny apartment became my sanctuary in the weeks following my exile. I sat cross-legged on her worn couch, surrounded by takeout containers and financial documents I'd managed to save before being escorted out. "You're going to give yourself an ulcer," Sandra said, watching me highlight another suspicious transaction. "Look at this." I thrust the paper at her. 3 separate transfers, all exactly $67,432. Who makes transfers that specific? Someone trying to stay under the $70,000 reporting threshold? Sandra suggested, surprising me with her financial knowledge. Exactly. I circled the dates. And they're all from weeks when Andrew was handling the overseas accounts. My phone buzzed, Riley calling for the 3rd time this week. I declined the call. "You should talk to her," Sandra said softly. "She might be on your side." "There are no sides anymore, just truth and lies." I rubbed my temples. "And right now I need proof." Sandra grabbed her laptop. "Then let's get you some. I know someone who might help." An hour later, we sat across from Camden Steele in a coffee shop that had seen better days. He looked more like a college professor than a private investigator. Wire-rimmed glasses, rumpled blazer, perpetually messy hair. "So," he said, studying the documents spread between our coffee cups, "you believe your cousin framed you?" "I know he did." I leaned forward. "But I need proof that will stand up to my father's scrutiny. He thinks Andrew walks on water." Camden's eyes narrowed. "Family cases are messy. Are you sure you want to go down this road?" "They already think I'm a criminal. What else do I have to lose?" He took off his glasses, cleaning them methodically. "Your retainer is $5,000. I'll need access to any financial records you can get, and a list of Andrew's known associates." "I can get you $3,000 now," I said, my savings account screaming in protest. "The rest by the end of the month." "Deal!" He pulled out a contract. "But remember, you might not like what we find." That night, I couldn't sleep. My phone lit up with a text from Riley. "Mum's a wreck. Dad's drinking again. Please just confess and come home." I threw the phone across the room. The next morning, Camden called. "I've been reviewing the records. Your cousin's good, but he made mistakes. Small ones." "What kind of mistakes?" "The kind that leave breadcrumbs. Meet me at the office in an hour." Camden's office was a converted industrial space, all exposed brick and metal filing cabinets. He had 3 monitors displaying different aspects of the investigation. "See these transactions?" He pointed to a spreadsheet. "They're all routed through a shell company in Delaware. Guess who registered it?" My heart raced. "Andrew?" "Better," Camden grinned. "His girlfriend, the one your family doesn't know about." "What girlfriend?" He pulled up a social media profile. Meet Jessica, corporate lawyer and Andrew's secret partner for the last year. She registered the company 3 months before the money started disappearing. I stared at the photo of Andrew with his arm around a stunning redhead. My parents think he's still dating that doctor they approved of. People hide things for a reason, Camden said, pulling up more documents. And your cousin's been hiding a lot. My phone buzzed again. My mother this time. The voicemail was what I expected. The police want to press charges. If you confess now, we can work something out. Please, Gwendolyn, don't make this worse. I deleted the message and turned to Camden. How fast can we build a case? Give me 2 weeks. But Gwendolyn? His expression turned serious. Once we start this, there's no going back. Your family will never be the same. I thought about Sunday dinners, Christmas mornings, the way Andrew always got the benefit of the doubt while I got suspicious glances. I thought about my father's disappointment and my mother's tears. Good, I said, my voice steady. Because the family they think they have is already a lie. Camden nodded, turning back to his monitors. Then let's get to work. That evening, Sandra brought over wine and pizza. You okay? I showed her the growing evidence on my laptop. For the first time since this started, I actually am. We found something, Sandra. Something big. She squeezed my hand. Just be careful. Revenge can consume you. This isn't just revenge anymore, I said, staring at Andrew's smiling face on my screen. This is justice. And when I'm done, they'll all know exactly what it feels like to have their trust betrayed. I closed my laptop, but not before saving Jessica's photo. Andrew's perfect mask was starting to crack, and I was going to rip it off completely, no matter what it cost me. Camden's car smelled like coffee and old books as we sat outside Jessica's law firm, watching people stream in and out of the glass building. Tell me again why we're here, I asked, shifting uncomfortably in the passenger seat. Because people get sloppy when they're in love. Camden lifted his camera, snapping photos as Jessica emerged, Andrew close behind. Look who's having a business lunch. They walked arm in arm to a nearby restaurant, completely wrapped up in each other. Andrew hadn't even bothered to check if anyone was watching. Amateur, Camden muttered. For someone stealing thousands, he's not very careful. He never had to be, I said bitterly. Everything was always handed to him. Camden lowered his camera. Speaking from experience? Let's just say being the family disappointment has its advantages. Nobody expects much from you. We followed them to the restaurant, taking a booth within earshot. Camden pulled out a small recording device disguised as a phone. Is that legal? I whispered. In a public place? Absolutely. He adjusted the device. Now, quiet. Let's hear what the happy couple has to say. Andrew's voice drifted over. The transfer's complete. Dad doesn't suspect a thing. My hands clenched under the table. Jessica's laugh tinkled like expensive crystal. And your cousin. Gwen, Andrew scoffed. She's history. Everyone bought it hook, line and sinker, even sent her packing with a police threat. You're brilliant, baby, Jessica purred. How much longer until we have enough? 3 more months, Max. Then we'll... A waiter appeared at their table, drowning out the rest. Camden cursed softly. Back in his office, Camden played the recording while I paced. It's good, he said, but not enough. We need paper trails, bank statements. How do we get those? Leave that to me, he hesitated. There's something else you should know. I did some digging into Jessica's past. She's been involved in 3 other corporate fraud cases. What happened? Nothing. She was never charged. Always had a fall guy. He gave me a meaningful look. Sound familiar? My phone buzzed. Riley again. This time I answered. Gwen? Thank God, I've been so worried. Have you? My voice came out harder than intended. Of course I have. Look, I know you didn't do it. You're many things, but you're not a thief. I sat down heavily. Try telling that to Mum and Dad. I have. But Andrew showed them more evidence yesterday. Bank transfers, emails. What emails? I interrupted, my heart racing. Something about offshore accounts? Gwen, it looks really bad. Camden was already typing. Emails can be traced, he mouthed. Riley, I have to go, but thanks for calling. After hanging up, I turned to Camden. He's fabricating evidence now. Which means he's scared. Camden cracked his knuckles. Good. Scared people make mistakes. That evening, Sandra came over with Chinese food and found me surrounded by papers. You look terrible, she announced, dropping the takeout on my coffee table. Thanks. You really know how to boost a girl's confidence. I'm serious. She cleared space to sit. When's the last time you slept? Sleep is for people who haven't been framed by their golden boy cousin. Sandra grabbed the papers from my hands. Tell me what you found today. I told her about the lunch, the recording, Jessica's history. He's getting sloppy, Sandra. He thinks he's won. Men like that always do, she said darkly. Then her eyes caught something in the papers. Wait, what's this? She pulled out a bank statement. The same odd amount, $67,430, appeared again, but this time transferred to a different account. Camden's tracking it now, I said. The money's moving through at least 3 shell companies before disappearing offshore. Offshore where? That's what we need to find out. I grabbed my phone as it buzzed with a text from Camden. Got something. Come to the office now. Sandra drove me. Camden was waiting with a triumphant grin. Remember those emails Riley mentioned? He spun his monitor toward us. Andrew got sloppy with his digital footprint. The emails were created last week, backdated to before the theft. Amateur move. Can you prove it? Better. He pulled up another window. I found where the money's going. Your cousin and his girlfriend are building quite the nest egg in the Cayman Islands. My hands shook as I stared at the numbers. This is it. This is what we need. Almost, Camden cautioned. We need one more thing, proof that he accessed your computer to make the original transfers. How do we get that? He smiled grimly. We set a trap, but it's risky. You'll have to go back to the office. They'll call the police if they see me. Not if you have a good reason to be there. He held up a legal document. How about a formal deposition request? I looked at Sandra, who nodded encouragingly, then back at Camden. When do we do it? Tomorrow. Better wear something bulletproof. He paused. Metaphorically speaking, of course. I grabbed my coat. Tomorrow it is. Time to show Andrew what the family disappointment can really do. Walking into Miller & Sons Financial felt like stepping into a minefield. Every head turned as I crossed the lobby, Camden beside me with his briefcase. The security guard reached for his radio, but Camden smoothly presented the legal documents. Ms. Miller is here for a formal deposition regarding ongoing financial irregularities, he announced loudly enough for everyone to hear. Riley appeared from around the corner, coffee cup shattering on the floor when she saw me. Gwen, not now, Riley, I said, my voice steadier than my hands. My father's new secretary tried to stop us at his office. Mr. Miller is in a meeting. Perfect. Camden pushed past her. This concerns all parties involved. We burst into the office where my father sat with Andrew, both looking up in shock. Andrew's face went white. What is the meaning of this? My father demanded, standing. Camden laid out the documents. As your daughter's legal representative, I am here to formally request access to all computer logs and security footage from the dates in question. You have no right, Andrew started. Actually, we have every right, Camden interrupted. Unless you'd prefer we take this directly to the SEC. My father's face darkened. Wait outside, both of you. In the hallway, I caught Riley's eye across the office. She hurried over while Camden made a show of reviewing papers. What are you doing? She whispered. Proving my innocence. I glanced at Andrew through the glass walls. He was gesturing frantically at my father. How's Mom? A mess. She's barely eating. Riley touched my arm. Gwen, last night I heard Andrew on the phone. He sounded scared, talking about moving something offshore. Miss Miller. A security guard approached. Your father will see you now. Back in the office, my father looked 10 years older. You have 1 hour with the IT department. After that, I want you gone. We'll need access to Andrew's records as well, Camden added smoothly. Absolutely not, Andrew exploded. My father held up his hand. Enough. Give them whatever they need. I want this over with. In the IT department, Camden plugged in a device while pretending to review logs. Got it, he whispered. Remote access established. You can't be here. Andrew appeared in the doorway, his usual polish cracking. Afraid of what we'll find? I stood up, facing him. He stepped closer, voice low. You're making a mistake, Gwen. Walk away now while you still can. Like you did when they accused me? I did what I had to do. For Jessica? His face changed, fear flashing across it. I don't know what you're talking about. The offshore accounts? The shell companies? Does Dad know about those? Andrew grabbed my arm, fingers digging in. You have no idea what you're dealing with. Let go of her, Camden's voice cut through the tension. Now. Andrew released me, straightening his tie. 1 hour's almost up. Get out. As we left, Riley caught us by the elevator. Gwen, wait. There's something else. She glanced around nervously. I found something in Andrew's desk. Papers about a company in Delaware. Can you get them to me? She nodded. Tonight. I'll bring them to Sandra's. Back at Camden's office, his computer dinged continuously as data poured in from his remote access. Look at this, he pointed to the screen. Someone accessed your computer late at night multiple times, using Andrew's keycard to enter the building. Can you prove it was him? Better. He pulled up security footage. See that? He's not even trying to hide his face. My phone buzzed, a text from an unknown number. Back off or everyone learns about your little cocaine habit in college, I showed Camden. He's getting desperate. Good. Desperate people make mistakes. He frowned at his screen. Like this one. He just logged into the offshore account from his work computer. You can see that. Remote access works both ways. And? Got it. He sat back, grinning. Full access to all his transactions. Your cousin really should update his passwords more often than never. My phone buzzed again. Riley. On my way with the papers. You won't believe what I found. She's meeting us at Sandra's, I told Camden. Want to see what else Andrew's been hiding? He started packing up his equipment. After you. But Gwen? He paused. Be careful. Desperate people aren't just sloppy. They're dangerous. I thought about Andrew's grip on my arm, the threat in his voice. I know, but he's not the only one who can play dirty. As we left the office, I caught my reflection in the window. I barely recognized myself. Harder, sharper, more determined. Andrew wanted to play hardball? Fine. But he was about to learn that the family disappointment had nothing left to lose. And that made me more dangerous than he could imagine. Sandra's apartment buzzed with tension as Riley spread the documents across the coffee table. Her hands trembled as she pointed to a series of signatures. Look at these, she said. Andrew's been forging Dad's signature for months. These authorizations for international transfers. All fake. Camden examined the papers under his desk lamp. This is good, really good. But why would he risk forging these when he could just... He stopped, eyes widening. Oh, clever bastard. What? I leaned forward. These aren't just transfers, they're authorizations to create new accounts. Your father's signature gives him power to open accounts in the company's name without oversight. Sandra brought us coffee, peering over my shoulder. Is that why the money's so hard to trace? Exactly, Camden nodded. Each account creates a new layer of separation between Andrew and the stolen money. Classic laundering technique. My phone lit up with a text from Andrew. Last chance, Gwen. Walk away or things get ugly. Riley read it over my shoulder. He's scared. I've never seen him like this before. Good. I showed Camden another document. Look at these dates. They match perfectly with his trips to the Caymans. Business meetings, my ass, Riley muttered. He told Dad they were client visits. Camden's laptop pinged. Speaking of meetings, he turned the screen toward us. Your cousin just booked a flight to Grand Cayman for tomorrow. He's running, Sandra said. Not if I can help it. I grabbed my phone, but Camden caught my wrist. Wait. We need to be smart about this. If he runs, he'll transfer everything offshore before we can stop him. So what do we do? Camden smiled grimly. We let him think he's winning. Riley, can you get back into the office tonight? She nodded. I have late access for the quarterly reports. Perfect. I need you to plant something on his computer. Make him think his tracks are covered. While Camden explained the technical details to Riley, I stepped onto Sandra's balcony for air. The city lights blurred through unshed tears. Sandra followed me out. You okay? I don't know anymore. I gripped the railing. What if we're wrong? What if... Stop. She turned me to face her. I've known you since college. You're many things, but you're not a thief. And you're not crazy. My phone buzzed again. My mother this time. The police are asking more questions. Please, Gwendolyn, just confess. We can get you help. I threw the phone onto Sandra's couch through the open door. Camden emerged from his laptop cave. We've got movement. Andrew's accessing the accounts right now. We crowded around his screen, watching numbers shift between accounts. He's consolidating everything, Camden explained, getting ready to move it all at once. Can we stop him? Riley asked. Better. Camden's fingers flew over the keyboard. We can track every penny. And... got it. Full transaction history, account numbers, everything. Enough to prove it was him? I asked. Enough to put him away for a long time. Riley's phone chimed. Dad's calling an emergency board meeting for tomorrow morning. Andrew must have told him something. Perfect timing. Camden started gathering the documents. That's exactly when we'll present our evidence. I can't go, I reminded them. They'll have me arrested. You won't need to. He held up a flash drive. Everything's here. Riley can present it. Riley straightened her shoulders. I'll do it. It's time someone stood up to him. Later that night, alone in my apartment, I stared at the family photo still lying face down. My phone lit up with another message from Andrew. You have no idea what you're about to lose. I finally replied, neither do you. Camden called minutes later. Everything's set. Riley planted the files. Andrew took the bait. He thinks he's cleared his tracks. And tomorrow? Tomorrow we end this. But Gwen? His voice turned serious. Are you sure you want to go through with it? This will destroy your family's trust in him forever. I thought about Sunday dinners, Christmas mornings, every time Andrew got the benefit of the doubt while I got suspicious glances. I thought about my mother's tears, my father's disappointment, and Riley's quiet suffering. Their trust in him was built on lies, I said. Maybe it's time they saw the truth. Okay then, I heard him typing. Get some sleep. Tomorrow's going to be intense. I hung up and picked up the family photo, finally looking at it properly. Andrew's perfect smile, my forced one, the way everyone clustered around him like he was the sun. Tomorrow that sun would set. And in the darkness that followed, maybe, just maybe, the truth would finally have its day. I set the photo back down, this time facing up. Let him smile while he could. Tomorrow we'd see who had the last laugh. Camden's office became our war room as we watched the board meeting unfold through Riley's video call. She'd positioned her laptop perfectly, giving us a view of the entire conference room. My father sat at the head of the table, Andrew to his right, looking surprisingly composed for someone about to lose everything. He's got something planned, Camden muttered, fingers hovering over his keyboard. Look at him. Too confident. Sandra squeezed my hand as my father called the meeting to order. First item, he announced. Andrew has some concerns about our international holdings. Andrew stood, straightening his tie. Thank you, Uncle Abel. As I was reviewing our accounts, I discovered some disturbing irregularities. Irregularities like these? Riley's voice cut through the room as she started distributing folders. Her hands shook slightly, but her voice remained steady. What is this? My father demanded. Evidence, Riley said, of who really stole the money. Andrew's smile flickered. Riley, this isn't the time. It's exactly the time. She connected her laptop to the projector. Camden's carefully prepared presentation appeared on the screen. These are records of every transaction Andrew made over the past year. The room erupted in whispers. My mother's hand flew to her mouth. This is ridiculous, Andrew scoffed, but his face had lost its colour. Uncle Abel, Clearly Riley's been manipulated by Gwendolyn. The signatures, Andrew, Riley pressed on. Dad, look at the signatures. He's been forging your name. My father flipped through the documents, his face darkening. These are very serious accusations. Check your phone, Camden whispered to me. I looked down to see a message from Jessica. Andrew says you're bluffing. You have nothing. Now, Camden said, hitting enter on his keyboard. On the projection screen, new windows began popping up. Emails between Andrew and Jessica, bank transfers, flight records to the Caymans. What is this? My father's voice had dropped dangerously low. Would you like to explain? Riley asked Andrew. Or should I? Andrew's composure cracked. These documents are clearly fabricated. Like the ones you fabricated to frame Gwen? Riley's voice shook with anger. I found the program on your computer, Andrew. The one you used to create fake emails in Gwen's name. My mother stood up suddenly. Abel, look at this. She pointed to a transaction record. These dates, they match exactly with when. When you accused me, I texted Andrew. How does it feel? I watched him check his phone, his face contorting with rage. This is absurd, he sputtered. Uncle Abel, you know me. I would never... Call Jessica, Camden whispered. I dialed her number, putting it on speaker. The room fell silent as it rang. Andrew? Jessica answered. The accounts are locked. What's happening? Andrew lunged for his phone, but Riley was faster, putting it on the conference room speaker. Jessica, don't... Andrew started. I can't access any of the offshore accounts. Jessica's panic filled the room. Did they freeze everything? Andrew, what are we going to do with the money? The silence that followed was deafening. My father stood slowly, his face ashen. Security, he said quietly into his phone. Please escort Andrew to my office and call the police. You can't do this, Andrew shouted. I built this company's international division. I made us millions. You stole millions, Riley corrected, and framed your own cousin. As security led Andrew away, my mother sank into her chair, tears streaming down her face. Gwendolyn, she whispered, what have we done? Camden closed his laptop. It's done. The authorities have been notified about the accounts. I watched through the video as my father buried his face in his hands. Riley's camera caught Andrew being led past the conference room, his perfect mask finally shattered. How do you feel? Sandra asked softly. I stared at the screen, at my broken family trying to process the truth. I don't know. My phone buzzed with a message from my father. Come home, please. We need to talk. Are you going to go? Camden asked. I thought about all the Sunday dinners I'd missed, all the nights I'd cried myself to sleep, all the times I'd wondered if revenge would feel as good as I'd imagined. Not today, I replied to my father. I need time, just like you did. Sandra hugged me as Riley ended the video call. It's over, Gwen. You did it. But watching my family's world crumble didn't feel like victory. It felt like truth. Painful, necessary truth. And, as Andrew's words echoed in my head, you have no idea what you're about to lose. I realized he'd been wrong. I'd already lost everything. The only difference was now he had too. The police station hummed with fluorescent lights and hushed conversations as I sat across from Detective Morris, watching her review the evidence for the third time. This is quite thorough, she said, looking up from Camden's files. Your PI did excellent work. Will it be enough? I asked, trying to keep my voice steady. More than enough. Mr. Andrew Miller won't be seeing daylight for quite some time. She closed the folder. Though I have to ask, why didn't you come to us sooner? Would you have believed me? The family disappointment over the golden boy? A commotion outside interrupted her response. Through the glass walls, I saw my parents arriving with Riley. My mother's eyes were red-rimmed, my father's shoulders slumped with the weight of betrayal. They're here to give their statements, Detective Morris explained. Would you like to... No, I stood quickly. I should go. But as I turned to leave, my mother's voice caught me. Gwendolyn. I froze, hand on the door handle. Her footsteps approached, hesitant. Please, she whispered. Just look at me. I turned. The woman who had so quickly believed the worst of me now looked small, broken. "I'm so sorry," she choked out. "We should have listened. We should have—" "Mrs. Miller," Detective Morris interrupted gently, "we need your statement now." My father stepped forward. "Gwen, about the company accounts—" "Don't," I cut him off. "I don't work there anymore, remember?" Riley touched my arm as I passed. "Andrew's talking, telling them everything." "Of course he is," I said bitterly. "Anything to save himself." Outside, Camden waited in his car. "How'd it go?" "They're taking statements, building their case." I buckled my seatbelt. "Can we go?" "Actually," he checked his rearview mirror, "we have one more stop." We pulled up outside a luxury apartment building where Jessica lived. Police cars surrounded the entrance. "Why are we here?" "Because," Camden nodded toward the door, "sometimes karma needs a little push." We watched as officers led Jessica out in handcuffs, her perfect makeup streaked with tears. She spotted me and her face contorted. "You!" she screamed. "You ruined everything." "No," I called back calmly. "Andrew did that all by himself." My phone buzzed, a text from Andrew's number. "I hope you're happy. You destroyed our family." "You did that," I typed back, "the moment you decided to frame me." Camden drove me home, but as we pulled up to my apartment, he hesitated. "There's something else you should know. Your father called me earlier." My stomach clenched. "And?" "The board is meeting tomorrow. They're voting on new leadership." He glanced at me. "They want you to come back." I laughed harshly. They must be desperate. They're trying to save the company's reputation. A redemption story sells better than a scandal. "And if I say no?" "Then you walk away clean. Your name's cleared. You don't owe them anything." My phone lit up with messages. Riley, my mother, my father, even old colleagues offering congratulations and apologies. "They're calling an emergency family meeting tonight," Riley's text read. "Please come. We need to make this right." Sandra appeared at my car window, knocking gently. "Thought you might need backup." "How did you—" "Riley called me." She opened my door. "Come on, I'll make coffee and you can tell me why you're sitting in a car instead of celebrating." Inside her apartment, surrounded by the same takeout containers and case files that had become our war room, I finally broke down. "I thought I wanted revenge," I sobbed. "But this, seeing them all broken like this—" "That's because you're not Andrew," Sandra said firmly. "You wanted justice, not destruction." My phone buzzed again. Detective Morris. "Andrew's confessed to everything. We'll need you to testify." "What are you going to do?" Sandra asked. I stared at the family photo still lying face down on her coffee table. "I'm going to tell the truth. All of it. In court, at the family meeting, everywhere." "And the company?" I thought about my father's office, Andrew's empty desk, the family legacy built on trust and shattered by betrayal. "I don't know yet." I picked up my phone, typing a response to Riley. "I'll be there tonight, but I'm bringing Sandra." "And Camden?" Sandra asked with a slight smile. "He's done enough." I stood up, suddenly feeling lighter. It's time I faced my family on my own terms. As we prepared to leave for the family meeting, I finally turned the photo face up. The perfect family smile now seemed like a mask, one that had finally cracked to reveal the truth underneath. And maybe, just maybe, that truth would set us all free. The family estate's dining room felt smaller than I remembered. Maybe it was the weight of everything that had happened. Or maybe it was just that I'd outgrown the need for its grandeur. "The board voted unanimously," my father said, his voice echoing in the tense silence. "They want you to take over Andrew's position." I set down my water glass carefully. "And what do you want?" "We want you home," my mother whispered from across the table. "We want to make things right." Riley squeezed my hand under the table. Sandra, sitting on my other side, gave me an encouraging nod. "Making things right isn't that simple," I said. "You believed the worst of me without a second thought." "We were wrong," my father's voice cracked. "I was wrong. I let Andrew blind me because he told me what I wanted to hear. And now you're doing the same thing." I stood up. "Offering me his job because it's convenient, because it looks good for the company. No, my father pushed back his chair, because you're the only one who was strong enough to stand up for the truth, even when it cost you everything. Detective Morris's words from earlier echoed in my head. Andrew's looking at 15 years minimum. Jessica took a plea deal to testify against him. The company needs new leadership, my father continued. Someone who understands that integrity matters more than appearances. And you think that's me? The black sheep? The survivor, Riley corrected. The one who fought back. My mother reached across the table, her hand trembling. We don't deserve your forgiveness, but please give us a chance to earn it. I looked at Sandra, who nodded slightly. Tell them, she mouthed. I got another job offer, I said quietly. Camden's expanding his investigation firm. He wants me to head the financial crimes division. The silence that followed was deafening. My father cleared his throat. That's wonderful. Is that what you want? My mother asked. I want to help other people who've been framed, betrayed, written off. I met their eyes one by one. I want to make sure no one else goes through what I did. Then do both, Riley suggested suddenly. Work with Camden, but consult for the company. Help us rebuild the right way. My father's eyes lit up. She's right. We need someone who knows how to spot fraud, who understands both sides of the system. On my terms, I said firmly. Complete autonomy. And I want Riley promoted to senior management. Riley's head snapped up. What? You stood up to Andrew. You risked everything to expose the truth. The company needs more of that. My father nodded slowly. Agreed. To all of it. And Sunday dinners? My mother asked softly. I thought about all the empty chairs at Sandra's table, all the nights spent planning revenge instead of healing. We start over, I said. No pretenses. No perfect family act. Just truth. I'd like that, Riley smiled through tears. My phone buzzed. A text from Camden. How's it going? They're trying, I typed back. So am I. The police finished processing Andrew's office today, my father said. Would you help me go through it tomorrow? I saw the cost of that request in his eyes, the admission of betrayal, the need for help, the desire to make amends. Yes, I said. But first, there's something else we need to do. I pulled out the old family photo from my bag, the one that had lain face down for so long. Then I took out a new frame. Sandra took this last week, I said, showing them a photo of Riley and me outside Camden's office, laughing at something off camera. Real smiles, real moments. That's what family should be. My mother touched the photo gently. It's beautiful. It's honest, I corrected. And that's what I need from all of you. Complete honesty. They nodded, and for the first time, I believed them. Then let's begin again, my father said, raising his glass. To truth. To consequences, Riley added. To family, my mother whispered. I looked at Sandra, my constant through the storm, at Riley, who chose truth over loyalty, at my parents, trying to rebuild from the ashes of their perfect illusion. To justice, I said, raising my glass, and to whatever comes next. Outside, the sun was setting on the family estate, casting long shadows across the manicured lawn, but inside, in the warm light of truth and reconciliation, something new was beginning. Not perfect, not unbroken, but real, and that was worth fighting for.
The first warning sign should have been the empty coffee mug on my desk. Axel always brought me coffee on Wednesday mornings, a tradition we'd kept since our third date 2 years ago. But today, like the past 3 weeks, my desk sat bare. I'm Rosalind, and until recently, I thought I had it all figured out. A thriving career in corporate law, a handsome fiancé, and a sister who was my best friend since the day she was born. Funny how life has a way of shattering those perfect little illusions. Earth to Roz! Taya's voice cut through my thoughts as she perched herself on the edge of my desk. You're doing that thing again, where you stare at nothing And look like someone killed your cat. I forced a smile. Just thinking about Annika's birthday dinner tonight. Mom's going all out as usual. Taya's expression shifted, something flickering behind her eyes. Speaking of Annika, have you noticed anything different about her lately? Different how? I don't know. She lowered her voice, glancing around our open-plan office. She seems happier? Like, unusually happy for someone whose startup just tanked. I hadn't thought about that. Annika had been practically floating lately, despite losing her investors last month. When I'd offered to help, she'd brushed me off with a breezy, "Everything happens for a reason, Roz." My phone buzzed. A text from Axel. "Can't make it to dinner tonight. Emergency client meeting. Third time this month," I muttered, showing Taya the message. She frowned. "Roz, honey, when was the last time you and Axel actually spent time together?" "We had breakfast last." I paused, counting backward. "Sunday? No, that was 2 weeks ago." "And you're not worried?" "He's launching a new investment fund. It's a crucial time." Taya grabbed my hand. "Remember what your grandmother used to say? When something feels wrong in your gut, it usually is." Before I could respond, my phone lit up with Annika's face. "Hey sis, you're coming tonight, right?" "Wouldn't miss it. Want me to bring anything?" "Just yourself." Her voice was practically singing. "And don't worry about Axel. I already heard he can't make it." I sat up straighter. "How did you?" "Oh, he mentioned it at the coffee shop this morning. Total coincidence. Anyway, gotta run. Love you." The line went dead before I could respond. Taya raised an eyebrow. "Coincidence?" she said. "Since when does Axel get coffee from that overpriced place Annika loves? He's been loyal to that corner deli near his office for years." "Maybe he was in the area," I said, but something cold settled in my stomach. "Roz?" Taya's voice was gentle but firm. "You need to open your eyes. First, the coffee tradition stops. Then he starts canceling plans. Now he's randomly running into your sister at coffee shops. What exactly are you suggesting?" I'm suggesting you pay attention. Watch them tonight at dinner." "Oh, wait, he conveniently can't make it." I stood up, gathering my files. "You're reading too much into this. Anika would never. She's my sister. And Axel is your fiancé, but that doesn't seem to mean much to him lately, does it?" I wanted to argue, but memories started flooding in. Anika asking about my relationship schedule, always knowing when Axel would be busy. The way she'd insisted on helping plan our wedding, then suddenly stopped mentioning it. The furtive glances at her phone, the quick exits from family gatherings. "I need to get back to work," I said, my voice tight. Taya stood, squeezing my shoulder. "Just keep your eyes open tonight. And remember, you're stronger than you think." As she walked away, I pulled up my calendar. Annika's birthday dinner was at 7 p.m. at our mother's house. I had exactly 6 hours to decide whether I was being paranoid or if my perfect little world was about to implode. My phone buzzed again. Another text from Axel. "Miss you. Make it up to you this weekend?" I stared at the message, remembering how he used to write paragraphs, not sentences. How he'd surprise me with lunch dates and random flowers. When had that stopped? And more importantly, why hadn't I noticed until now? I typed back a simple "okay" and turned my phone face down on my desk. Tonight, I decided, I would watch. I would listen. And maybe, just maybe, I'd finally see what everyone else seemed to notice but me. The birthday dinner was a disaster before it even began. I arrived early to help Mom set up, only to find Annika already there, humming as she arranged flowers in the dining room. "You're early," I said, watching her adjust a rose. "Just excited." She spun around, her smile too bright. "Mom's letting me use her good china." Mom appeared from the kitchen, wiping her hands on her apron. "Rosalind, perfect timing. Could you check if the wine's chilled?" Anika picked out Axel's favorite red, even though he can't make it. Wasn't that thoughtful? I froze. "How did you know which wine Axel prefers?" "Oh, Annika's fingers fumbled with the flowers. You must have mentioned it. I didn't. The doorbell saved her from responding. As Mom rushed to answer it, I pulled out my phone and did something I'd been avoiding all day. I opened Axel's location sharing. We'd set it up months ago for safety, but I'd never checked it before. The blue dot pulsed mockingly at me. He wasn't at any client meeting. He was at his apartment. Ross? Annika's voice was soft. Everything okay? I looked up to find her watching me, concern painted across her face. The same expression she'd worn when I'd told her Axel proposed. The same look she'd given me when I'd asked her to be my maid of honor. Actually, no. I held up my phone. Axel's at home. Her face paled slightly. Maybe the meeting got canceled? Funny how you know so much about his schedule lately. What's that supposed to mean? Before I could answer, Mom returned with Taya in tow. Look who's early, too. Taya took one look at our faces and knew something was wrong. I brought wine, she announced, breaking the tension. And gossip. Lots of gossip. The evening progressed with forced smiles and careful conversations. I watched Annika check her phone every few minutes, always angling it away from me. At one point, she excused herself to take a call in the garden. I'm going to get some air, I told Mom and Taya, following my sister out. The summer evening was warm, but I shivered as I approached the garden. Annika's voice carried clearly through the darkness. You should have come. No, she doesn't suspect anything. Of course I feel bad, but listen, we need to tell her soon. No, you don't understand. I can't keep doing this. My hands shook as I pulled out my phone and opened my messages with Axel. There, buried under months of loving texts, was a thread I'd never noticed before. Somehow, I'd archived it instead of deleting it. Unknown number. Meeting you was the best mistake I've ever made. Axel. We need to be careful. She trusts us both. Unknown number. I hate lying to her, but I love you more. Axel. Soon, baby. We'll tell her soon. The timestamps matched the weeks when our coffee tradition had ended, when Axel had started working late, when Annika had stopped talking about my wedding. Roz? Annika's voice cracked behind me. What are you doing out here? I turned slowly, phone still in hand. Funny thing about iCloud, I said, my voice eerily calm. Sometimes it syncs numbers you think you've hidden. She took a step back. I can explain. Can you explain why my sister and my fiancé have been sneaking around behind my back? Can you explain why you're texting him right now, pretending he's at a meeting? It's not what you think. Really? I laughed, the sound harsh in the quiet garden. Because I think my sister is sleeping with my fiancé. I think they've been lying to me for weeks, maybe months. Please tell me how that's not what I think. Tears filled her eyes. We didn't mean for this to happen. It just did. Things don't just happen, Annika. People make choices. Roz, please. Don't. I held up my hand. Don't you dare ask me to understand. Don't you dare ask me to forgive you. I walked past her, back toward the house where Mom and Taya were probably wondering where we'd gone. At the door, I paused. You know what the worst part is? I said, not turning around. I would have done anything for you. Both of you. I heard her sob, but I didn't look back. Inside, I grabbed my purse and keys. Rosalind? Mom called after me. Where are you going? We haven't even had cake. Ask your other daughter, I said. I'm sure she'll be happy to explain everything. Taya followed me out to my car. Want me to drive? I shook my head. I need to do something first. Ross? I'm okay, I said, surprising myself by how steady my voice was. I'm actually really okay. Because now I know exactly what I'm dealing with. I started the car, finally understanding what my grandmother meant about trusting your gut. Sometimes the truth hurts, but lies destroy everything they touch. 3 days after the birthday disaster, Mom called a family dinner. To clear the air, she said, as if betrayal could be solved over pot roast and mashed potatoes. I almost didn't go, but Taya convinced me otherwise. "You need to show them you're not hiding," she said, as she helped me choose an outfit. "Wear that red dress, the one that makes you look like you could buy and sell their souls." Walking into Mom's dining room felt like entering a battlefield. Axel was already there, sitting next to Anika. They sprang apart when they saw me, guilt written across their faces. "Rosalind!" Mom rushed forward, arms outstretched. "I'm so glad you came." I stepped back. "Let's skip the pretense, Mom. Why are we here?" "Sit down, please." She gestured to the table. "We need to talk as a family." "Family?" I laughed. "Is that what we're calling this now?" Axel cleared his throat. "Roz, please. Don't call me that." I turned to face him fully. "You lost that right when you started sleeping with my sister." "Rosalind!" Mom gasped. "There's no need for vulgarity. No need for— Are you serious right now?" I stared at her. "Your younger daughter has been having an affair with my fiancé, and you're worried about my language?" Annika spoke up, her voice small. "We wanted to tell you properly." "When? After the wedding? Or were you planning to object dramatically at the ceremony?" "Actually," Axel stood up, reaching for Annika's hand, "we have something to announce." My stomach dropped as I watched him pull something from his pocket. A small velvet box. The same one he'd used to propose to me 6 months ago. "We're engaged," Annika said, slipping my ring, onto her finger. The room spun. Mom clapped her hands together. "Isn't this wonderful? Now we can all move forward." "Move forward?" My voice sounded distant, even to my own ears. "You think this makes everything okay?" "Darling," Mom placed her hand on my arm. "These things happen. Sometimes people realize they're meant for someone else. The important thing is to handle it with grace." I shook her off. "Grace? Like sneaking around behind my back? Like lying to my face for months?" "We fell in love," Axel said, as if that explained everything. "We didn't mean to hurt you." "But you did mean to steal my life, didn't you, Annika?" I turned to my sister. "My fiancé wasn't enough. You had to take my ring too?" She at least had the decency to look ashamed. "He had it reset." "Of course he did, because that makes it better." "Rosalind," Mom's voice took on that warning tone she used when we were kids. "They're trying to make this right. The least you can do is support their happiness." I looked around the table, at my mother's pleading expression, at Axel's defiant stance, at Annika's trembling hands playing with my ring. "Support their happiness," I repeated slowly. "Like you're all supporting mine?" "Don't be dramatic," Mom sighed. "You're young. You'll find someone else." "That's not the point." I slammed my hand on the table, making the glasses rattle. "The point is trust, loyalty, family, or have you forgotten what those words mean?" "We're still family," Annika whispered. "Are we?" "Because from where I'm standing, you're just the person who betrayed me in the worst possible way." "Enough!" Mom stood up. "Rosalind, either you accept this and behave civilly, or— Or what, Mom? You'll choose her side? Too late. You already have." I grabbed my purse and headed for the door. Behind me, I heard chairs scraping as someone stood up. "Roz, wait!" Axel called out. I turned back one last time. "You know what's funny? I actually feel sorry for you both. Because if you can do this to me, you can do it to each other, and you will." "That's different," Annika protested. "We're in love." "So were we," I said, looking at Axel. "Remember?" The silence that followed was deafening. As I walked out, Mom's voice carried through the open door. "Well, I think that went rather well, all things considered." I made it to my car before the tears came. But they weren't tears of sadness. They were tears of rage. Pure, clarifying rage. My phone buzzed with a text from Taya. "How bad?" I typed back. "They're engaged. My ring. Mom's thrilled." Her response was immediate. "I'm coming over, and I'm bringing tequila. Also, remember what you said about your grandmother's letter?" I started the car, a plan forming in my mind. Yes. The letter. The one thing Anika didn't know about. The one card I hadn't played yet. Sometimes karma needs a little help, and I was done playing nice. Sterling's law office hadn't changed in 20 years. Same leather chairs, same dusty law books, same smell of coffee and old paper. He looked up from his desk as I entered, his eyes crinkling with recognition. "Rosalind," he stood to greet me. "I was wondering when you'd come." "You heard." "Small town." He gestured to a chair. "Your mother called me yesterday, actually. Wanted to know if I could start working on Annika and Axel's prenup." I sat down hard. "Of course she did." I declined. He poured 2 cups of coffee. "Professional conflict of interest, given my long relationship with your grandmother." "That's why I'm here." I pulled out my phone, showing him the photo I'd taken years ago. "Grandmother's letter, the one she made me promise not to open until I really needed it." Sterling nodded slowly. "Ah, and you think now is the time?" "My sister is wearing my engagement ring and planning a wedding with my ex-fiancé." "Yeah, I'd say it's time." He walked to a wall safe hidden behind a painting, entering a combination with practiced ease. The letter he withdrew was yellowed with age, my name written in my grandmother's elegant script. "Before I give you this," he said, holding it just out of reach, "are you sure you're ready for what it might say? What do you know about it?" "Enough to know it will change things, permanently." I reached for the letter. "Things are already changed." He handed it over, watching as I broke the seal. The paper inside was thick, expensive, typical of my grandmother. As I read, my hands began to shake. "This can't be right," I whispered. "It is." Sterling sat back down. "Every word. The house, the investment portfolio, everything. Your grandmother was very specific. The entire inheritance goes to you, not to be shared with Annika under any circumstances." I looked up. "Why?" She saw something in Annika even then, a pattern of behavior. He sipped his coffee. "The incident with your prom date? The scholarship she convinced you to turn down? Your grandmother noticed? But this is..." I checked the numbers again. "This is millions." Which explains Axel's sudden interest in family dinners, doesn't it? A knock at the door interrupted us. Taya poked her head in. "Sorry I'm late. Traffic was..." She stopped, seeing my face. "What did I miss?" I handed her the letter. Her eyes widened as she read. "Holy shit," she breathed. "Does Annika know?" "No one knows except Sterling," I said. "Grandmother made sure of that." "And now you," Sterling added. "The question is, what are you going to do with this information?" Taya sat down next to me. "Please tell me you're thinking what I'm thinking." "That depends. Are you thinking about how quickly Axel would drop Annika if he knew she wasn't getting any inheritance?" "Exactly that." Sterling leaned forward. "Be careful. Revenge might feel good in the moment, but..." "This isn't about revenge," I interrupted. "This is about truth, about consequences." My phone buzzed. A text from Mom. "Annika's planning an engagement party next weekend. Please be reasonable and attend." Taya read over my shoulder and snorted. "Perfect timing." "Indeed." I stood up. "Sterling, I need copies of everything, and I need to know exactly what my rights are here." He nodded, already reaching for his files. "The estate is yours to manage as you see fit. Your grandmother was very clear about that." "Good." I turned to Taya. "Feel like helping me plan a party?" "What kind of party?" "The kind where truth bombs get dropped and karma comes calling." Sterling cleared his throat. "Rosalind, your grandmother trusted you with this for a reason. She believed in your judgment. And I won't let her down." I gathered the papers. "But she also taught me that sometimes the kindest thing you can do is let people face the consequences of their actions." As we left the office, Taya linked her arm through mine. "You know they're going to hate you for this." "They already betrayed me. Might as well give them a real reason." My phone buzzed again. Annika this time. "Please come to the party. I need my big sister there." I showed Taya the message. She raised an eyebrow. "You going to respond?" "Oh, I'll be there." I typed back a quick, "wouldn't miss it," and pocketed my phone. And I'm bringing one hell of a wedding gift. Sometimes the best revenge isn't revenge at all. It's simply letting the truth do its work. And thanks to my grandmother's foresight, I had all the truth I needed. I ran into Axel at the coffee shop the next morning. Not our old coffee shop, the pretentious one Annika loved. He was alone, staring at his phone with a furrowed brow. "Trouble in paradise?" I asked, making him jump. Rosalind." He straightened up. "I didn't expect to see you here." "Clearly." I ordered my coffee, ignoring how he shifted uncomfortably beside me. "Something wrong?" He hesitated. "Actually, can we talk?" "Now you want to talk?" But I followed him to a corner table anyway. I needed to know what game he was playing. "It's about the engagement party," he said, fiddling with his cup. "Anika's going a bit overboard." "How so?" "She wants to rent out the Metropolitan. Full catering, live band, the works." I nearly choked on my coffee. The Metropolitan was the most expensive venue in town. And, he lowered his voice. "She keeps talking about this inheritance she's expecting, making all these plans." "What inheritance would that be?" "Your grandmother's? She said it's being split between you two." I let the silence stretch, watching him squirm. Finally, I said, "Interesting assumption." Before he could respond, someone called my name. I looked up to see Damien, a guy I knew from my gym, approaching our table. "Rosalind, haven't seen you at kickboxing lately. Been busy." I gestured to the empty chair. "Join us?" Axel's face darkened as Damien sat down. "I should go." "Why?" I smiled sweetly. "We're just catching up." "Damien, did you know Axel's engaged to my sister now?" Damien's eyebrows shot up. "Your sister? As in, the one you told me about at the gym? The one who—" "Yes, that sister." I turned back to Axel. "You were saying something about inheritance?" Axel stood abruptly. "We can discuss this later." After he left, Damien whistled low. "Well, that was uncomfortable." "Sorry for dragging you into it." "Are you kidding? This is better than my morning soap operas." He leaned forward. "So what's this about inheritance?" I found myself telling him everything. The letter, the betrayal, the upcoming party. He listened without interrupting, his expression growing more serious. "You're planning something," he said when I finished. "Maybe." "Need help?" I studied him. "Why would you want to help me?" "Because I've seen you at the gym, destroying that punching bag instead of dealing with this." He shrugged. "And because I hate cheaters." My phone buzzed. Annika sending party details to the family group chat. The Metropolitan, Saturday night, black tie optional. "Come celebrate our love story," the message read. "Love story," I scoffed. "More like betrayal biography." "You know," Damien said thoughtfully, "if you really want to make an impact, you need to let them dig their own grave first." "What do you mean?" "Let them make it big. Let them invite everyone. Let them build up expectations." He grinned. "The higher they climb, the harder they fall," I finished. "I like how you think." "I'm free Saturday, by the way." "Are you asking to be my date to my sister's engagement party to my ex-fiancé?" "I'm offering to be your backup when you burn it all down." I found myself smiling, really smiling, for the first time in weeks. "Deal." My phone buzzed again. "Taya. Just got the invite. You sure about this?" I typed back, more sure than ever. Looking up at Damien, I asked, "How do you feel about helping me shop for a show-stopping dress?" "Only if you tell me the rest of your plan." "Well," I pulled out the copy of grandmother's letter. "It starts with this." As I outlined my ideas, Damien's grin grew wider. By the time we finished our coffee, we had a solid strategy, one that would let karma do most of the heavy lifting. "You know," he said as we left the coffee shop, "they're expecting you to either make a scene or not show up at all." "Exactly, which is why I'm going to do neither." "No dramatic confrontation?" "Oh, there will be drama." I checked my watch. "But first, I need to make a few calls, starting with Sterling." "The lawyer? If they want to talk inheritance, let's talk inheritance." I pulled out my phone. Time to set the stage for Saturday night. As I dialed Sterling's number, I caught my reflection in a store window. I looked different somehow. Stronger, clearer. Ready. "You're kind of scary when you're plotting," Damien observed. "Good," I said, as Sterling's office answered, "because this is just the beginning." The Metropolitan buzzed with pre-party energy as staff rushed around setting up. I stood in the doorway, watching Anika direct people like a general commanding troops. "The flower wall needs to be higher," she called out. "And where's the champagne fountain?" "Champagne fountain?" Taya whispered beside me. "Someone's going all out." "On credit, apparently." I adjusted my deep blue dress, the one Damien had helped me pick out. The venue alone must cost a fortune. Speaking of fortunes, Taya nodded toward Axel, who was having what looked like an intense phone conversation in the corner. "He doesn't look happy." I moved closer, pretending to inspect the table settings. "What do you mean, declined?" Axel was saying. "I've been with that bank for years. Yes, I understand, but no, I don't have another way to cover it." He hung up, running a hand through his hair. Annika bounced over to him. Baby, the band needs to know where to set up. And Mom's asking about the menu changes. Did you handle the deposit for the upgraded package?" I watched his face carefully. "Actually, sweetheart, about that." "There you are!" Mom's voice cut through the tension as she swept in. "Rosalind, I didn't expect you so early." "Just offering my support," I said sweetly. "After all, what are sisters for?" Annika's smile faltered slightly. "Right. Thanks. The place looks amazing," I continued. "Must be expensive." "Oh, we're not worried about that." Annika waved her hand dismissively. "Once everything's settled with grandmother's estate." "What estate?" Mom interrupted. "What are you talking about?" Axel stepped forward quickly. "Maybe we should discuss this later." "No, let's discuss it now." I perched on a nearby table. "I'd love to hear about this estate you're counting on." Anika's face flushed. "Well, grandmother always said she'd take care of us both equally." "Did she? When exactly did she say that?" I just assumed." "You assumed you'd get half of everything?" I pulled out my phone, checking the time. "Interesting. Sterling should be here any minute. We can ask him about it." "Sterling?" Mom's eyes narrowed. "Why would the family lawyer be coming to an engagement party?" "Because I invited him." I stood up as Sterling entered, right on schedule. Perfect timing. "What's going on?" Annika's voice had lost its confidence. "Just clearing up some assumptions." I gestured for Sterling to join us. "Sterling, my sister was just talking about grandmother's estate. Care to enlighten everyone?" He pulled out a folder. "Perhaps we should discuss this privately." "No need," I said. "We're all family here, right?" Axel moved closer, his eyes fixed on the folder. "What is that?" "Your grandmother's final wishes," Sterling explained, "which were quite specific. The entire estate, including this building actually, was left to Rosalind, exclusively." The silence that followed was delicious. "That's impossible," Annika whispered. "This building?" Mom looked around. "What do you mean, this building?" "The Metropolitan has been part of the family holdings for decades," Sterling explained, "along with several other properties and investments, all under Rosalind's control now." Axel's face had gone pale. But you said your family owned—" "I never said anything," Annika cut in. "You just assumed." "Like you assumed you'd get half of grandmother's estate?" I stood up. "Funny how assumptions work." Mom stepped between us. "There must be some mistake. Surely she meant for both girls. No mistake." Sterling handed her the documents. "It's all quite clear." I watched as the implications sank in. Annika's elaborate party, the expensive venue, all the plans they'd made, all based on money that was never coming. "So," I turned to Axel, "about that deposit for the upgraded menu package?" He couldn't meet my eyes. Annika looked between us, realization dawning. "What's wrong with the deposit?" "The bank," he started. "Declined his card," I finished. "Awkward." Taya, who'd been quietly watching, finally spoke up. Should I tell the staff to stop setting up? Actually, I smiled. Let them continue. I'm paying for everything. You are? Annika's voice cracked. Of course. It's my building after all, and I wouldn't want to disappoint all your guests. I checked my phone again. They should be arriving in about an hour. Just enough time for you two to figure out what you're going to tell them. As I walked away, I heard Mom calling after me, but I didn't turn around. Let them stew in their own mess for a while. Damien was waiting by the bar. Phase 1 complete? Oh, yes. I watched Axel and Annika having what appeared to be their first real fight. And just in time for the main event. The Metropolitan filled with guests as the evening progressed. I watched from my position at the bar as Annika and Axel played the happy couple, their smiles growing more strained by the minute. Ready? Damien appeared beside me, looking sharp in his suit. Almost. I nodded toward the entrance where Sterling was letting in the last few guests, including several board members from Axel's investment firm. Just waiting for the full audience. Mom intercepted me as I moved toward the stage. Rosalind, please, whatever you're planning. What makes you think I'm planning anything? I know that look. It's the same one your grandmother used to get. Funny you should mention grandmother. I gestured to the microphone where Annika was preparing to make her speech. Let's hear what the happy couple has to say first. Annika tapped the microphone, her voice wavering slightly. Thank you all for coming tonight. I let her get through the usual platitudes. How she and Axel found love. How sometimes life surprises you. How family is everything. The irony wasn't lost on anyone who knew the truth. Then it was Axel's turn. When I first met Annika, through me, I called out, loud enough for nearby guests to hear. At our engagement party, wasn't it? A murmur went through the crowd. Axel's face reddened. Actually, I stood up, champagne glass in hand. I'd like to make a toast. Rosalind, Mom hissed, don't. To the happy couple, I moved toward the stage. To new beginnings, old rings, and hidden truths. Annika gripped the microphone stand. Ross, please. Oh, but I'm just getting started. I took the microphone. You see, everyone here knows the fairy tale version. But let me tell you the real story. This isn't the time. Axel stepped forward. No? When is the time? When you were sneaking around behind my back. When you gave her my engagement ring. Or maybe when you both assumed you'd be living off my inheritance. The room went dead silent. Oh, didn't everyone know? I turned to the crowd. My dear sister and ex-fiancé planned their whole future around money that was never theirs. Money that, as of last week, is legally and solely mine. One of Axel's board members stood up. What inheritance? The Metropolitan, for starters. I gestured around the room. This building, several others, plus a rather substantial investment portfolio. All of which Axel apparently thought came with my sister. That's not true! Annika grabbed for the microphone. We love each other! Really? I pulled out my phone. Should we read your texts from last month? The ones about how you couldn't wait to upgrade your lifestyle? Or Axel's messages about securing the family fortune? Axel's face went from red to white. How did you find them? Amazing what data recovery can do. I smiled at his board members. By the way, gentlemen, you might want to check the books at the firm. Someone's been making some interesting transfers lately. The whispers started immediately. Axel's boss stood up, phone already in hand. And Annika, I turned to my sister. Remember when you said everything happens for a reason? When your startup failed? She stepped back. Don't. Turns out the reason was embezzlement. Sterling has the proof, if anyone's interested. The room erupted in chaos. Axel's colleagues huddled together, phones out. Annika's former business partners, invited for show, started making calls. Mom sat down hard in a nearby chair. You've ruined everything, Annika sobbed. No, you did that all by yourself, both of you. I handed the microphone to Damien. Oh, and about the party, don't worry about the bill. Consider it my wedding gift, though I doubt there'll be a wedding now. As if on cue, Two police officers entered with Sterling. "Mr. Davidson, we'd like to ask you some questions about certain financial discrepancies." I watched as Axel was escorted out, his boss following with a thunderous expression. Annika stood alone on the stage, my old ring glinting mockingly on her finger. "The ring," I said quietly. She pulled it off and threw it at me. "I hate you." "Funny, that's exactly how I felt when I found out about you two." I caught the ring and dropped it in my champagne glass. But unlike you, I did something productive with the feeling. The guests began filtering out, the party clearly over. Taya appeared at my side, grinning. "That," she said, "was better than any revenge movie I've ever seen." "It wasn't revenge." I watched as Mom tried to console a crying Anika. "It was justice." Damien touched my arm. "Ready to go?" I took one last look around the room. At the elaborate decorations, the shocked faces, the shattered remains of their perfectly planned deception. "Nah, actually," I smiled. "I think I'll stay. After all, it is my building." Sometimes the best revenge isn't just exposing the truth. It's watching people face the consequences of their own actions. And from where I stood, karma had never looked better. The morning sun streamed through the Metropolitan's windows as I sat at the bar, sorting through paperwork. The place still smelled faintly of last night's party, champagne and shattered dreams. "Coffee?" Damien set a cup beside me. He'd shown up early, claiming he wanted to help clean up, but I suspected he just wanted to make sure I was okay. "Thanks." I looked up as the door opened, revealing Mom. She looked tired, older somehow. "I thought I'd find you here," she said, sliding onto a bar stool. "Annika's gone." "Gone where?" "She left a note, said she needs time to find herself." Mom's laugh was bitter, as if she's the victim in all this. "And Axel? Released on bail this morning. His firm is pressing charges." She reached for my coffee, took a sip. "You knew, didn't you? About the money laundering?" "Sterling found it when we were going through grandmother's papers. Axel had been using her old accounts to hide transactions." "Why didn't you just turn him in?" "Because then everyone would have painted Annika as the innocent victim. Again." I sorted another stack of papers. They needed to face the consequences of their choices, together. The door opened again, Taya, carrying breakfast bags. "I brought bagels and gossip. The firm's board met this morning. Axel's out." "Good." I pulled out my grandmother's letter, smoothing its worn edges. "You know what's funny? She wrote that she was leaving everything to me because I was the only one who never asked for it." "Your grandmother was a wise woman," Mom said quietly. "I should have listened to her about Annika." "What do you mean? She tried to warn me years ago, said I was enabling Anika's worst instincts by always taking her side." Mom's eyes filled with tears. "I'm sorry, Rosalind. I failed you both." "You didn't fail me." I reached for her hand. "You just loved her too much to see her clearly." "And now?" "Now you see everything." I pushed a folder toward her. "Including this." She opened it, frowning. "What is it?" "Grandmother's original business plan for the Metropolitan. She built this place from nothing, turned it into something special." I stood up, walking to the windows. "I want to do the same." "You're keeping it?" "I'm renovating it, making it mine." I turned back to face them. "Damien's going to help with the design." He grinned. "Those kickboxing sessions were getting boring anyway." Taya raised an eyebrow. "Just the design?" Before I could respond, Sterling arrived, looking unusually disheveled. "You need to see this." He handed me his tablet, an email from Anika. My heart stopped as I read it. "What is it?" Mom asked. "A confession." I passed her the tablet. "She's admitting everything. The affair, the embezzlement, all of it. She sent copies to the police and Axel's firm." "Why would she do that?" "Because," I read the last line again, "she says it's time to write her own story instead of stealing someone else's." The room fell silent as the weight of it settled. Finally, Damien spoke up. "So what now?" I walked behind the bar, pulling out glasses. Now? Now we plan a renovation. This place needs to be more than just another venue. It needs to be somewhere people come to celebrate real love, not convenient lies. To new beginnings? Taya raised her glass. To truth, Mom added. To karma, Damien winked. I looked at my reflection in the mirror behind the bar. The woman staring back wasn't broken or bitter. She was strong, clear-eyed, ready. To grandmother, I said, who knew exactly what she was doing. As we clinked glasses, my phone buzzed with a text from an unknown number. Axel. I'm sorry for everything. I deleted it without responding. Some bridges aren't meant to be rebuilt. First order of business, I announced, pulling out the blueprints I'd been working on. The wall between the bar and the ballroom needs to go. We're opening this place up. No more hidden corners for secrets. As Damien leaned in to study the plans, his hand brushed mine. This time, I didn't pull away. You know, Taya said, watching us with a knowing smile, sometimes the best revenge isn't revenge at all. It's living well, I finished, feeling lighter than I had in months. The morning sun caught the diamond ring still sitting in last night's champagne glass, making it sparkle. But I didn't need it anymore. I had something better. Truth, purpose, and the knowledge that sometimes losing everything is just the beginning of finding yourself. All right. I rolled out the blueprints fully. Let's build something real,